This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
The ownership valued me in Milwaukee more than the front office, and the ownership may have valued me here in Indiana. So, again, that wasn't a shot at the fans. I see how fans would have took that personally, just how fresh you were off of, such a great run and whatnot. But, again, I'm going to speak right into the camera. By no means anything I said had anything to do with the fans or the city, man. I said this is strictly a business, a business decision for me personally.
2-point game, 27 seconds left. Siakam driving, left hand, got to the wing, hooks it to the top. Neesmith with 16 to play down the left side, lays it in. Green will play the ball in, gets it out toward the timeline. Antetokounmpo has it, 11 seconds to go. Leisurely left-handed, now the right. Here comes Green to screen. Antetokounmpo, left edge of the arc. Backing his way to the foul line, 2 seconds to play. Tough shot, and he won the game.
It was disheartening, man. It was frustrating. You give 10 years of your life, your blood, your sweat, your tears. You take pay cuts. You survive trade rumors. You try to do everything the right way, and then sometimes not enough stuff shakes out. It's cool. I take it on the chin. I think a lot of people say I said things, but I think a lot of people want to formulate their own narratives and spin it to whatever they want it to be. But it is what it is, man. Like I say, you take it on the chin, just move on.
Well, you got to boo Miles Turner, and then you got to see Giannis go to work. Another valiant effort by the Indiana Pacers, but they could not come up with a victory as Giannis gets a buzzer beater at the very end last night. And good morning, everyone, along with Mark Dykton, running the ones and twos there, creating the great opens. We've got Kevin Bowen and James Boyd. I saw you at the field house last night, and you and I were both sitting up there in the second deck watching the crowd's reaction to Miles' tribute video at the beginning of the game last night. What'd you think?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at all. I figured he would get booed a lot. I think the easiest thing to choose is being petty. I love being petty and a little spiteful there. But at the same time, I thought Miles, honestly, I felt like on my way back from Pittsburgh to Indy, I kept getting updates on what he said previously on podcasts and, his intro press conference with the Bucks to shoot around yesterday morning to post game. So there was a lot of Miles-centric topics, but at the end of the day, he gets the last laugh because his new teammate walked off.
His new teammate, Giannis, did Giannis things last night. And Kevin, this just, for the last couple of years now, this rivalry has been building. Would you say this is right now the rivalry for the Indiana Pacers, maybe even over the Knicks, that this is the one, given the basketball thing when Giannis had his night, at the same time a player for the Pacers got his first points, and then going back to the buzzer beater that Halliburton had in the regular season last year, the last couple of playoff series, some comeback wins for the Pacers this past season, then last night. I mean, this is it right now, right?
Yeah, you guys can certainly speak to it. I don't think you get that juice on a Monday night in early November very often in the NBA, so I think given the opponent and given Miles Turner's relationship, of course, that's what played into it. So, yeah, it's just, the Pacers are a tough watch right now. It's just it's a tough watch and it's a tough evaluation. Like, you just sit here and be like, is there a column for gritty losses? Unfortunately, there's not, because that seemingly has been most of their losses this season. But, yeah, quite the scene last night. I was shocked by how well Miles Turner started the game, and then kind of typical Miles Turner from there. And clearly, post-game, the Bucks wanted that one for Miles Turner. Doc Rivers made that abundantly clear in their postgame locker room. Giannis as well. I didn't have Giannis giving a 3-minute answer on Turner after the game, but he did that. So, another chapter, and unlike the last few chapters, this one goes to the Bucks.
Well, you were there last night, James Boyd, and you watched that, and as Kevin said, it's a you got guys coming in and out of the lineup all the time. It doesn't look pretty. They didn't shoot very well at the beginning of the game last night. They made a nice run in the second quarter to make it close, and then they had a chance to win at the very end, or at least kept themselves right in it up until the very end. Was it just Giannis and Kyle Kuzma kind of the difference? And maybe, look, give Miles his credit. He's defensively was still a little bit of a force last night.
A lot of bit of a force last night. He had 5 blocks more than the Pacers' entire team combined, and I thought he had a pretty big block on a 3 late there in the fourth quarter. And honestly, I was thinking the basketball guys just not on your side like they were last year, because when, was it Cole Anthony? He shoots the 3, air ball, and it goes straight to Miles, and he catches and lays it up. That was his first points, I believe, since the first quarter, finished with 9 points in the game. And that was a big, you think of a 2-point game, that was a gift. And I was like, how many times are you going to shoot an air ball that bad that it turns into an actual pass for your teammates? So I thought he was great defensively. I thought the Pacers could have used a couple more shot fakes. Here in Indiana, a lot of fundamentals get taught. And I was thinking 2 feet in the paint. Guys, get the shoulders pumping a little bit because Miles was erasing everything at the rim. And you look at the way the team fought, though, and responded, typical Pacers fashion. And what impressed me the most about that is it's not necessarily the fact that they've done this in the past, is that they're doing it with guys who weren't necessarily a part of that. Jarris Walker was hurt during the finals, so he didn't get a chance to experience some of those crazy comebacks, especially in game 1 of the finals. You have guys like, I want to say Ben Shepherd, get an opportunity to go out there and try to help this team. And you got Mac McClung going in there. Like, they're all just trying to, scratch and claw and figure out a way to, win the game. And I thought that their resolve kind of, it shows like the culture you've built, because they have guys dropping every day. Had 2 more drop last night, and you still can throw anybody out there, it seems like, and get them to fight for you and give you a chance to win. It's just that, it's not breaking your way so far. And I think Siakam was very candid after the game. Maybe we'll get into some of that audio later in the show, but he was pretty, honest about how he feels as a leader and how he can at times drive himself crazy trying to get some of these wins.
He has some ugly-looking free throws sometimes, though, doesn't he? Just, it's almost
9 of 12 last night. Not bad.
Yeah, I know, but he missed that one in the fourth quarter. It's just that motion. When I talk about that, it's just that motion. You're like, okay, that's different. It's his own.
Like, does he shoot differently from the free throw line than
it feels like
a regular
it, doesn't
jumper?
it?
But
what do you see on TV when you watched last night at the very end?
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to rip Siakam
I'm
right
not ripping
now.
him.
I mean,
my only observation was it's a funky looking
it is.
style.
I don't know. Maybe you're thinking about it more. Whereas
Rip. No, I'm joking.
Whereas when you're in the flow of the game, it's a little bit more just you aren't even thinking about it.
Dude, KB, after the game, this man is like, oh, I have to be better. And I know people are saying, I'm playing well, but I haven't played my best either. And I'm like,
I wanted to give him a hug listening to him last night. Like, dude, you're not. I mean, look at the guys around you. I mean, the Pacers in crunch time last night had Jeremiah Robinson Earl shooting shots, multiple shots
in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
So, that's just, I think that's what makes it difficult right now. And I'm sure maddening for Pascal Siakam, maddening for Rick Carlisle in trying to evaluate it. And now it's back to the drawing board. Who starts at point guard tomorrow night? Is it Ray J. Dennis? Is it Mac McClung? Assuming Quentin Jackson is going to miss time with aggravating that hamstring injury. So,
Johnny Furphy's probably going to miss some time too. Saw him in the locker room limping out on crutches, left ankle.
And
didn't look good.
If you want to talk about the game itself, if you could have asked Rick Carlisle in the huddle before going out there for the final possession, you're going to get a fadeaway 20-footer with Isaiah Jackson right in Giannis's face over his right shoulder. Would you sign up for that? I think Rick would say, yeah. Can you hand me a Sharpie marker?
I think he made 2 jump shots the entire game. He had the wing 3,
barely,
and then he had that.
Yeah, so that I think just kind of twists the knife a little bit more.
Yeah, I did happen to be standing down on the floor right before the game started, several minutes before the game started. Papa Halliburton seeing Miles Turner mom. They had a very nice, warm exchange, and it's clear there's no bad blood between those families. They were genuinely happy to see one another.
Yeah, I don't think that there should be any, but at the same time, I did pay attention to what happened post-game, and Miles dapped it up and was able to exchange a few hugs with a few teammates, former teammates now, but there were a few I didn't see.
I did not see Tyrese. Did you see Tyrese?
I didn't see Tyrese. I didn't see TJ McConnell either, and granted, I will put this out there, it could have happened behind the scenes, in the hallway, pregame, postgame, whatever. I just did not see that actively after the game.
Yeah, I saw Nembhard, I saw Mathurin.
Because I wanted to definitely capture that moment. So you got Giannis hitting the game winner and then booing the fans. He walks off the court, which was
thumbs down,
an incredible troll on his part. And then
I think he was looking for John Halliburton at one point.
I do think his brother had to kind of pull him back.
Yeah, shockingly, I actually thought his brother was peacemaker there.
I could definitely tell that meant a little something.
He wanted
to him
a little
too.
more, Giannis.
Yes, and then Miles, I think he made his rounds and then fortunately got the win and then spoke his piece after the game. So I'm sure we'll get into those comments as well.
All right, so the return of Miles Turner is done and dusted, and the Bucks come up winners 117-115. We'll give you all the details, and you guys will be talking to Rick Carlisle a little bit later on today, about 50 minutes from now, right, Kevin?
Yeah, Rick Carlisle going to join us again Tuesdays at 8. One more home game for the Pacers, and then they are off to the West Coast for a 4-game trip.
It is also trade deadline day. Will the Colts make a move?
I don't know, Jerry. Did you see Jerry Jones promising that there will be a move made for the Cowboys today? Did you see that? last night?
Yeah, and then I was seeing something about how like now the trade might not actually happen or something. Like the guy's nuts.
No, he's sitting with Stephen A. Smith in the owner's box for the first half last night. You think Jerry remembers that he was with Stephen A. last night?
I won't go there. That's kind of tough.
I'm just asking questions and making observations today.
Was that a shot at his age, or was he drinking?
It's just Jerry in general. He just looks like every year he loses the plot a little bit more one way or the other. It's really the
Shout
point.
out Jacoby Brissett.
Ah, man, did he look good last night? That was fun to watch for him. All right, lots to tell you about. We'll give you the details on that Monday Night Football game in a moment. The check down is on the way. It's a Tuesday morning at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. A lot of people have this one circled on their Indiana Pacers schedule this year. The return of Miles Turner after a decade in an Indiana Pacers uniform. He left as a free agent to join the Milwaukee Bucks this past summer. Made his return to Gainbridge Fieldhouse last night to a chorus of boos at the beginning of the game during the entire tribute video, James Boyd.
Yes, and that would be upkept throughout the rest of the night. Got booed pretty much every time he touched. The only time he didn't get booed was at the end of the game when Giannis hit the game winner and he got the last laugh.
Yeah, you got it there. Giannis did hit a game winner as the time expired. 117-115 the final score. Giannis ended up with 33 points, 13 rebounds, and that buzzer beater. Pascal Siakam led the Pacers with 32. Isaiah Jackson had 21 points. As for Miles Turner, his reaction to the boos in the postgame.
It was disheartening, man. It was frustrating. You give 10 years of your life, your blood, your sweat, your tears. You take pay cuts. You survive trade rumors. You try to do everything the right way, and then sometimes not enough stuff shakes out. It's cool. I take it on the chin. I think a lot of people will say I said things, but I think a lot of people want to formulate their own narratives and spin it to whatever they want it to be. But it is what it is, man. Like I say, you take it on the chin, you just move on.
That's just part of the program. You're on the other team, you get booed, and you want to talk about real first world problems, Kevin Bowen. Surviving trade rumors. I just hope nobody has to ever go through that again in life.
I'm kind of done with the whole Miles Turner storyline. I'm glad we can hopefully put a lot of it to rest at 10 a.m. today.
Wait, they don't play again tomorrow?
Thankfully, they don't. I don't even know when the Pacers and the Bucks play again. So, and luckily the storyline won't be the same.
The Pacers will play again at the Fieldhouse on Wednesday, this time against the Brooklyn Nets before, as Kevin pointed out earlier in the show, they go out on the western half of the United States with a trip to Denver, Golden State, Utah, and Phoenix. As the Pacers are still looking for their second win of the year. They are now 1-6 on the season. Elsewhere last night in college basketball around our area, Ohio State. Talk about a run and gun. They beat IU Indianapolis, Kevin, 118-102, but fairly close for IU Indianapolis on the road to stay within 16. So that was interesting. Ball State won at home against Louisiana, 75-64. And Notre Dame beat Long Island somehow, someway, 89-67, Mr. Bowen.
Shout out to IU Indy coach Ben Hallett. He promised they would run and gun. I would say scoring 100 against a Big Ten team is doing that. So if nothing else, they'll be entertaining. And yes, I was very happy about the Irish last night. Carson Towd is the next Dennis Rodman, and Ryder Frost and Cole Serta can really, really shoot it. So.
And Marcus Burton had 24 points to lead the Irish last night.
I was a happy camper.
Charlotte beat Indiana State. The Sycamores were on the road for that one. 92-76 was the final score. Later on tonight, Purdue will host Evansville at 6:30, and then Valpo will be hosting Eastern Illinois. That one starts at 8 o'clock. Monday Night Football last night in the National Football League. One of our favorites, Jacoby Brissett, looked fantastic as the Cardinals ran all over the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, 27-17. Jacoby Brissett, 21 of 31, 261 yards, 2 touchdown passes, also had a touchdown run. He might be the new starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray might not get that job back.
Ooh, that might actually be a real scenario. I mean, he's played well with his opportunities, and when you get a win, that certainly adds to your resume in that conversation. So I will admit I did not see this game because I am a YouTube TV subscriber. I don't have ESPN at the moment, so I will defer to Kevin Bowen, who did not cut the cord and is probably taking a victory lap because of that.
Yeah, I got home in time to see that second half because I'm still an old school DirecTV subscriber.
Hey, look, they might get me back because the way the streaming is going, it's all going to cost the same anyways.
What's your provider of choice these days?
Uverse. Can I get a deal for saying that?
You should, honestly.
By the way, Jerry Jones promised a trade, and I guess there is one. Bengals trading Logan Wilson, their linebacker, who has fallen out of the starting lineup to the Dallas Cowboys, reported here by Ian Rappaport. So that was a name that I think some people had tried to connect the dots to Lou Anarumo at times.
Yes.
So the Colts having some linebacker issues here. So Cincinnati, we'll see if there's any more selling for them today. Logan Wilson, their linebacker, off to Dallas.
I like our nuts and bolts a lot. What was that?
Jerry Jones saying he likes his nuts and bolts a lot last night.
Oh, okay.
Sounded like he was deep
what I'm
sea
talking
diving.
about.
I know.
There, James.
The audio in Dallas, I'm like, you guys are a multi-billion-dollar. Can you get some better microphones?
So, honest question, James. For a split second, when Kevin announced that it was with the Cincinnati Bengals, for a split second, Did you think Trey Hendrickson?
No, because
You traded Micah Parsons.
exactly, and I'm thinking you can't trade Mike and go get Trey Hendrickson. Although, to your point, Jeff, I feel like anytime you hear Jerry has done something, anything's possible. So I got to give you a tip of the cap there.
I would have set it
we
up
get to suck on that
a
all
little
day.
differently maybe than that.
Maybe. I will say Logan Wilson was one of the guys I had on my list of 10 trade candidates for the Colts. I would say one more to keep in mind with the Bengals is probably Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback. Had his playing time resolved or dissolved this year. Can he possibly be on the move, and would the Colts be interested?
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
Oh, Lord.
That's got to be one of your all-time favorites, knowing you, Mark.
I've just got a whole folder that just says Jerry Jones.
Man, oh, man. Colts have the day off for the players today. They will, of course, be on the way across the pond. They will be playing in Berlin, Germany this coming Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. That one kicks off at 9:30 in the morning. Our pregame coverage begins at 6:30 right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And as you guys have been talking about, Kevin Bowen, today is trade deadline day in the National Football League. Chances that the Colts actually make a move. If you had to put a percentage on it, what would it be?
Yeah, I'd like to think it's over 50-50. I do think they have some definite interest, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But, again, there is some past precedent that's making me say, Kevin, you're an idiot for thinking it's over 50%. Granted, I don't think the Colts have ever been in this position where you wake up NFL trade deadline day and you're firmly in playoff position. You're leading the AFC. I think you have the best record in the NFL. Yeah, we'll see. We started to see a little bit last night. Draymond Jones from the Titans, another edge rusher, moved to Baltimore. So it's a couple edge rushers we now have seen. That's probably the boat that I would be wanting to be in if I were the Colts. I'm not as big on corner. To me, I think Jalen Jones looked great yesterday, or I should say Sunday, in his debut. And you got to think Travarius Ward's return is coming at some point.
All right, coming up in a moment, more on the Miles Turner return to the Fieldhouse last night. The Colts getting ready to head over to Germany, as we talked about a moment ago. We'll go deeper into possible trade scenarios and talk about other things that the Colts need to do to bounce back from that loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Glad to see you home safely, James Boyd. We'll all continue in a moment here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Good morning. It is trade deadline day for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll address that coming up in a few minutes. Rick Carlisle stops by in 30 minutes to talk about the return of Miles Turner and where the Pacers are as they get ready to play one more home game against Brooklyn this week and then head out onto the road. But let's talk more about the Indianapolis Colts coming off their second loss of the season on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And what did we learn yesterday with just listening to Colts talk about everything when it was all said and done? Where do you think the coaching staff feels they are after this loss and what they need to do to kind of get back on track, Kevin?
I think Shane Steichen expressed a little bit more of a, maybe could have involved Jonathan Taylor, earlier in the game. I'm not maybe as critical of that. I think it's been pretty typical MO for Shane Steichen. Taylor still leads the league in carries, and I just think the bigger issue was you weren't effective running it. I didn't think the quantity when the game was still in doubt was that different. He had 14 carries through 3 quarters. If it's a close game, he's going to have another, 6 carries in the fourth quarter? He's going to have a 20-carry day. That's, in today's NFL, that's a pretty normal, or actually a pretty unique number for a starting running back. So, but yeah, Shane expressed a little bit of regret on that.
And now I mentioned that there is one chance to improve this team outside of just getting players healthy again this year. It is today. The trade deadline is coming up. James, I'm going to read you what they wrote on ESPN.com today. Indianapolis Colts, chance to make the playoffs right now, 97.6%. Adding, subtracting, or sitting it out. Before I say what they said, what would you believe? Adding, subtracting, or sitting out for Chris Ballard today?
What they will do or what they should do?
What do you want them? What do you think they should do?
What do I think they should do?
You be Chris Ballard for a minute.
Let's go shopping.
Tell the man how he's doing.
Let's go shopping. Not like, what my boy 50 Cent say. We're not window shopping. We want to go in there and actually get something and put it in the cart, put it in the buggy, and walk out.
Be like
with
Michael
something
Jackson in that 2020 interview years ago. I want 5 of these. I want 8 of those.
Yes, that is an
incredible
incredible recall there, Mark. I would say let's go out there and try to upgrade at defensive end. Now, I will say I'm not so sure who else is necessarily left of the bunch. I know Jalen Phillips got moved, I believe, to Philly. I know a couple other kind of lower level edge rushers got moved. Trey Hendrickson obviously still available, but I just think that I have a little trepidation there because, one, it sounds like the Bengals asking price is pretty high for a first-round pick. I would not give up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson, but in addition to that, he's injured and also older. So it feels like if you were going to make a move for him, I would feel more comfortable doing it if he was at least healthy. That's my other thing. So, I don't know. I feel like this is why I don't want to be a GM. I'm saying make a move, but I don't know which move to make. Yeah, just do something like a little stick. Just poke it, like poke the the trade deadline button and see what surprise you get. I don't know.
I feel like you don't get to be in this position very often in the NFL. You're 7-2. Your offense has been a juggernaut. Even with the 6. How about this, Kevin? Even with 6 turnovers, they scored 20 points. With 6 turnovers, they scored 4 times. This offense is really good.
That make you feel better, Kevin?
No, because you still can't turn the ball over. But my point is, you're never even within. It's never even a 1-score game usually if there's 6 turnovers. I just think there's a chance to do something special with this team. To me, if you're going to swing big, you want to talk about real big, and there's no chance Chris Ballard would ever do this. And I don't even know exactly what the contract is left, but we saw him pick up a nice young player with a first-round draft pick when he went and got DeForest Buckner, right? Why not at least call and find out what Brian Burns' situation is with the New York Giants? Because I'm telling you, I watched that guy in Carolina before he even became mature. That guy is a game wrecker with the right people around him on a defensive line.
Yeah, certainly is a game wrecker. I would assume the Giants are not in the mood to do that, but I think that's a call you would certainly make and just pray that they pick up on the other end or at least entertain you for a few minutes there. So. Those are the moves. To me, cornerback is just lessened on the need scale. I was really impressed by what Jalen Jones showed.
How much more lessened was it after seeing him play?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, credit to Jalen Jones for lessening that.
I was shocked that he looked that good in his first game. I mean, he wasn't playing, no disrespect to anybody else, but he wasn't playing like a nobody.
No, DK Metcalf, 2 catches in the game. I mean, I think if you look at where I've been at for the last few weeks, it was always probably a little bit more edge rusher than corner. I could definitely hear you out at cornerback, but assuming Javarius Ward can get back after the bye week, but you might go to Kansas City here after the bye week with a cornerback trio of Kenny Moore, Javarius Ward, and Jalen Jones. That would make me sleep a little easier at night. Whereas the pass rush, I don't sleep much easier at all. And, okay, has JT Tuimoloau really showed you anything to maybe make you sleep better? No, not really. And we're seeing pass rushers get moved. Draymond Jones moved. Jalen Phillips moved. So, we had a text earlier about the whole 2 to tango. Well, some teams are finding that. They're finding a dance partner here. So I'll be very interested to see how the next 8 hours play out.
About this. About this one.
That should be Chris Ballard. Window shopping for trade deadline deals.
At least give me Rodney.
Michael Jackson at the antique store.
Gosh, Michael Jackson's voice always gets me.
At least give me Rodney Dangerfield at the pro shop. I'll take one of those and 2 of those. And
Have you ever had that experience in your life? Anybody on this show? I can't think of
maybe the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, good point. But even then, all the Dollar Tree days I had with my grandmother, she just tell me,
did I just spend $12 at the Dollar Tree?
I remember we used to go to thrift store with her, and I swear everything in there was like 10 cents, and she would allow me to touch nothing. Still. Grandma was not giving up an extra $1 because I wanted something. But yeah, I feel like if a move is not made, the reaction from the fan base is going to be, oh, like you guys were cowards, you didn't go for it. But what's a reasonable request? What's a reasonable line to say, no, I'm not going to do this? Well, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and
I think you've seen a couple moves. Again, the Draymond Jones thing last night for what was a conditional 5th or 4th. Mm-hmm. I forget exactly what it was. The Jalen Phillips. Those are, if you want to use a baseball analogy, those are nice double swings. Yeah. Are they going to mortgage your draft capital moving forward? No. But
third? You think a third was okay for Jalen Phillips? Well, personally, I'm like, third's kind of high.
But if you're playing the comp pick game and he goes and signs a deal next year and you get a 5th back or something, then you lessen some of the sting there and send in a 3rd rounder. I just think it's a unique time for the franchise. Your offense is at a historic level.
You just want me to work later today. I see how it is.
Well, don't you have to write something one way or the other?
Yeah. This is actually very true.
You either write that they made a deal or they didn't make a deal.
No, I'm just joking. Honestly, if you're asking me myself, give me the action every time. Like, give me the something to write about or react to. And really, again, to your point, it's a different season. This isn't what teams we've seen in the past.
I don't want to act like the Colts are the I don't want to act like they're aging or this is a 1-year opportunity, but the NFL window is usually much smaller than other leagues' windows. And also, it's a little bit of a, we've talked about it with Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce, maybe Braden Smith, maybe Nick Cross. Things are going to get complicated financially for you moving forward. So, how you fit all of that in there, I think is going to be a little bit more challenging. And, Zaire Franklin and DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart and Quentin Nelson and Braden Smith, these guys are all, getting up there a little bit more in age.
Yeah. And by the way, Brian Burns has a contract through 2028.
So that would take a lot of restructuring, I'd assume.
That would take a lot of restructuring, but I'm just telling you, that's a dude. He can help, man.
He got a big bag, though.
That's a dude. And I don't know if there's a lot that would have to happen. I'm just throwing it out there because it's trade day. And if you're gonna at least dream big. Because I think that's a guy. No, look, the Giants aren't going anywhere. They're going to try to rebuild that franchise around Jackson Dart. To your point, Kevin, maybe he's a part of their rebuilding plan. Maybe that's the guy.
Yeah, and I feel like we've had a report where the Giants have no, we're not going to do that. Now, granted,
but make them say no.
Sure. Yeah. I am all for calling.
Yeah. So here's what ESPN.com has to say. Adding, subtracting, or sitting it out. Quote, let's say add, with caution. There's a move for general manager Chris Ballard to make if the Colts feel so inclined. They are depleted at cornerback, and the Colts are on the radar with Trey Hendrickson. Although Ballard typically stands pat, he has a hot team that might be the proverbial one player away. That's the whole thing. Are you truly one player away on defense? Does it feel that way to you? One player away?
I don't know, but I'd feel much more comfortable if the pass rush got an injection of life. That's how I would summarize it. And I'd rather try than keep the bat on the shoulders.
Yeah. Well, that's what we'll be keeping an eye on a little bit later on today. And our time is...
You want to be like Mickey Rojas?
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
Is it like 4 p.m. our time?
Yeah, 4 p.m.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that and listen to Jake all day from noon to 3. And, of course, JMV. The trade deadline will come and go during his show later on today. If you're just joining us, yes, Miles Turner returns to the Fieldhouse last night. You heard about it live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And James, you and I were both there. He heard about it right before the game, too, didn't he?
Yeah, and I saw his reaction on the bench, and shout out to Wish TV for capturing this moment, because I saw a little bit of it from my angle, but where we sit, Jeff, obviously you can't. Like, you're behind the visiting bench, so you can't necessarily see the front side of the player unless they show it on the Jumbotron.
We're kind of up in the corner.
Yeah, so Wish TV caught the angle of him sitting right in front of them, and when they were booing him during the player intros after the tribute video was over, Miles was sitting there with, like, his palms open and both hands kind of out, and he flipped them closed like he was closing a chapter of a book, so to speak, and then he kind of egged on the crowd a little bit, waved his hands to kind of antagonize them. And I think my biggest takeaway is that Miles is not necessarily a villain. And I don't say that with regard to the fan base saying, oh, this is how we feel about him. He turned on us. He's a turncoat, whatever. I just mean that I don't think he in his heart can be the villain. So to me, it all kind of feels like it's more of a character type of thing he's trying to put on, or a cloak or something, because it doesn't feel real. I mean, if you're true villains, probably, I mean, Draymond Green to me is like a true villain. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. Dennis Rodman didn't care what anybody thinks. I think Miles, to a degree, still cares. And he talked about it after the game, to his credit, where he felt disappointed and a bit disrespected with how things kind of played out. But ultimately, man, I don't think that Miles is necessarily the villain. And I will say, though, if you are going to be the villain and lean into that role a little bit more than you had before, it helps to have a bigger villain on your side, because I'm sure Pacers fans don't like Giannis either.
Yeah. What would you guys say the percentage of boos were?
It's funny you were just saying that. That was what I was going to bring up. I would say 75-25. Does that sound about right? Because there were some people. There were people up there. There were people up there applauding for him. Maybe because we could hear it up on the second deck. But
I would go 70-30.
70-30, 75-25 in that area. Yeah.
But boy, I didn't know how they would react to the video, because I figured they would boo him. They booed that man through the entire video. I was like, oh my gosh.
The booers gave him no grace.
I figured it would be, kind of, I don't know, first time you hear his name in the video. But no, as soon as they got to the part where he was saying, what was it, the Indiana, like they were thinking, how dare you play this again? So
I was surprised he played well early. I thought it'd be deer in headlights for him early on in that game.
Yeah.
And I thought he played pretty well. Now, kind of a disappearing act through those middle quarters. Did have a huge block there late in the fourth quarter. And boy, for a brief second there, I don't think he would have gotten the shot off in time. But when Siakam came to double, or I think it was Jackson. When Jackson came to double, Giannis and Turner was open. Again, I don't think Giannis could have got it to Turner, and Turner could have flipped it up there in time. But I thought to myself, is he about ready to have a game-winning shot opportunity here? That would have been quite the scene.
I know. Giannis ruined the Disney moment, man, because if he makes the shot, you're the villain. You miss the shot, you're getting booed out of there. So, again, I respect Miles, and I think that's just from a media standpoint. But I do respect the fan base from the standpoint of we're allowed to boo. I know Giannis went on the whole soliloquy after the game about, giving 10 years to a team and all-time leading blocks and all these things about how the Pacers should have respected Miles more. But I mean, look, I paid my money. I'm not cursing the man out. I'm just booing, so I feel that's fair.
I did think, and I was, I think I've been, for the most part, I'm always team fandom and team boo. If you'd like, you're paying money, you can do as you please. I did think Miles pregame, and Mark, if we have that audio, go ahead and cue that up. This is with Tony East and some reporters pregame at the shoot-around. I guess yesterday morning probably would be the best way to put it. I did think for the most part he clarified his comments, I thought, fairly well. Basically, to summarize it, he feels like, and he made it clear, front office and ownership. He feels like the rug was kind of pulled out from under him, and I would insert here, well, that's what happens when Tyrese Halliburton tears his Achilles. But nonetheless, this was Turner at shoot-around yesterday with a lot of the indie media.
They say it all the time that this league is a business, and I got my first real, taste of what that business sense meant. Obviously you got to take some of the emotions out of it. So no, it didn't change how I felt here. Now, ownership and front office, that's a different story. That's everything to do between me and them, nothing to do with the fans.
To stick about was when you said, go where you're celebrated. And I think, I know you tweeted about that after that wasn't about the fans. I guess Do you feel like you were celebrated here?
I feel like let's talk about value. If you go where you're valued in a sense, and I feel like the front office and the ownership valued me in Milwaukee more than the front office and the ownership may have valued me here in Indiana. So again, that wasn't a shot at the fans. I see how fans would have took that personally. Just how fresh you were off of such a great run and whatnot. But again, I'm gonna see this right in the camera. By no means anything I said had anything to do with the fans or the city, man. I said this is strictly a business, a business decision for me personally.
I get it. 4 years, $108 million is different than 3 years, $66 million.
Math and money. And as I always tell you all, you can't put loyalty in the bank, but you can put cash in there.
You can boo me all you want for an extra $40 million.
Yeah, but at the same time, I still think that there's a certain level of what's the right word? Like gaslighting to a degree that Miles is doing, because some of the stuff that he said, you didn't have to say. Like the last shot, I guess, if you want to interpret it that way, towards Tyrese of, he could talk his stuff and people know we won't do anything if we're in the actual real street. And it's like, okay, why was that comment needed if your aim is to describe how the front office made you feel? So I think that shot, I wanted to go somewhere where I was celebrated, but also I think he said something.
He clarifies there. I probably shouldn't have said celebrated.
Yeah, but I think the other one was something about and he clarified that too. But it was something along the lines of I wanted to go somewhere where we could contend or compete. I think compete was the word, and that sounds like, oh man, Tyrese gets hurt, screw it, it's over, it's done. I don't have a chance to win a ring here. So some of that I just think that could have been avoided if he just really didn't talk about it. But at the same time, as we always say, Kevin. Look, for better or worse, I like when athletes tell us how they really feel.
We want honesty.
And you can boo the honesty, you can be mad at it, but at least you know how he feels.
Yeah, I think there's probably a few times where he's opened his mouth, tried to act like a little bit more of a bad boy than he really is.
That's what I'm saying. It's not him. I don't think that's really him.
He's not the villain. He's the kid that shows up to the high school party and it's like, wait a minute, can you stay outside? This is a little bit different in this atmosphere here. And I think yesterday, again, he did try to clarify a lot of those comments, and I thought he really did, but he's just not built to be, I've said this about Jonathan Taylor a few years ago. Jonathan Taylor's not built to be a holdout guy. Some guys are built to be the holdout guys.
I don't know. JT looked mighty built to be a holdout guy.
We
were counting
I think
the number
Malky
of times he did not
Kawhi
smile.
Was more built to be the holdout guy and how he was playing.
Malky Kawhi should be a wrestler.
And that's the agent for Jonathan Taylor for those unfamiliar with that. But, it won't make the light of day. We won't play the audio, but Miles was uber complimentary of Indiana's sports environment yesterday.
Oh, yes.
Pre-game. I mean, he was, singing the praises of what that building has meant to him and, how much he loves the crowd, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you get in the game setting, you're going to have some reactions like he did there. So, again, I'm looking forward to 10 a.m. when we don't have to talk about it.
Jonathan from I thought you were going to say something else. Jonathan from Anderson says Turner was booed for the comments he made on that podcast, mainly his comments on Halliburton, in his opinion.
Yeah, and again, to one of the commenters in the YouTube chat that you just mentioned, in my opinion, I feel like, yes, it's only viewed as a shot if you view that one clip, but that's the thing. That's the world we live in. Miles is not new to this. He knows whatever you say, especially when you bring up Tyrese, who is the most beloved player within the franchise, if it can be interpreted in any derogatory way, that is what's going to happen. So I think you can avoid some of that if you just give the man his flowers and stay away from the whole, he acts tough, he does this, he does that. Okay, and he also gave up his Achilles, which is pretty tough to do, for a guy trying to compete for a championship.
Are the boos as loud as they were last night if Miles Turner's in a Suns uniform?
Probably not. I think it makes a difference that it is Milwaukee and so much has transpired in the last 3 years especially.
Yeah, I saw somebody say it was the light version of Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, and I was like, relax, light.
Like J and V light.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, let's pump the brakes here. But yeah, I do think the rivalry, how much these groups seem to competitively hate each other. I mean, you saw the Fragan foul last night from Aaron Nesmith on Giannis, which I don't think was a dirty play, but just those types of moments in the game. Yeah, I think that adds to certainly some of the fuel, but for me, it's great theater.
Can I say one of my favorite trolls at the Fieldhouse, though, is whenever Giannis shoots the free throws and he bounces the ball repeatedly forever, and the crowd just counts every bounce that he takes.
I know. Him and Siakam are similar with the free throws, where they're both great players. I want them to have the ball in their hands at the end of the game, make the play, whatever. But I don't trust either if I need 2 free throws at the end of the game.
By the way, great night for Isaiah Jackson. He needed it. 21 and 10 in that matchup. I would assume this is one he probably circled a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You see the blow by to the basket?
Right. That was
Hibachi.
a hell of a fake for a huge bucket there in the fourth quarter. And, I probably need to do this at times with Isaiah Jackson as well. 1 year removed from the Achilles.
Yeah.
1 year removed from the Achilles.
He's just going to get better and better, too.
Like, what is he, 23, 24 years old? Mm-hmm. So, again, is there a little bit more there? Because, the Pacers desperately need him. For those that were not watching last night, Quentin Jackson left with a hamstring injury. James, you mentioned Johnny Furphy on crutches after the game.
That was
the injuries just keep on coming. And I don't, usually there's a progression of these guys getting back. We'll see what Rick Carlisle shares here in a few minutes. But, Andrew Nembhard and Benedict Mathurin are still listed as out. Usually there's like, hey, you're questionable for a game. And then you maybe, get to that, hey, you're going to play 2 games from now. So, assuming Quentin Jackson's going to miss time, I would guess they could either go back to Ben Shepherd as their starting point guard, which I don't think I would do. I'd probably vote for either Ray J. Dennis or Mac McClung as they get the winless Brooklyn Nets, I believe. Are they the only winless team left?
Yeah, I believe so.
0-7 Brooklyn Nets.
Wait, it might be the Pelicans.
Did the Pelicans win yet?
No, I don't think so. It's the disastrous down there in Nolans.
Now, the Nets have been very
0-6.
public about it. The Nets are trying to lose, and they've lost very successfully so far. So the Pacers desperately need to get that one tomorrow.
Well, again, you talked about culture for the Pacers a little while ago at the beginning of the show, James. I know it doesn't buy you victories, and they're probably going to end up in the lottery before this thing is all said and done this year, and maybe that's, in the long run, a better thing. That's a different discussion for a different day, but they keep coming at you, man. Doesn't matter who you are. They keep coming at you. The Golden State Warriors the other night, they kept coming after them, got a win. And last night, the Milwaukee Bucks, one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference, they kept coming at them. Just keep coming at them. At least with your team, you like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's their DNA. That's who they've become under Rick Carlisle, so I could definitely respect that. But, boy, talking to Siakam after the game, that man is like,
he wants to
win. It means nothing. I want to win. I need a victory. So
that's why we love him.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind, real quick, pivoting back to the Colts, reporting here from Ian Rappaport, he said it was a 7th-round pick for Logan Wilson. So looking at that price, I'm like, maybe the Colts should have been on him. If a 7th-round pick is all you need to go get perhaps a better linebacker who knows
and I think
knows defense.
I think there is a contract element there, too, that Dallas is having to absorb. So, again, the Colts restructured.
But at the same time, I believe he was on a 1-year deal. Like, he's on an expiring contract. So it can't be a whole lot of money they're shelling out to go get Logan Wilson. So something to keep in mind.
All right, coming up in a minute, Rick Carlisle, the head basketball coach for the Indiana Pacers, joins us on the Fan Morning Show. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. You know what that means. Rick Carlisle, head coach of the Indiana Pacers, joins us now. Pacers got one more home game coming up here tomorrow night. That is with Brooklyn before they go back on the road in what has been a very challenging start to the season, not only opponent-wise, but certainly from a health standpoint. And Rick is on the Payless Liquors hotline. Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
Okay.
How have you framed, I guess, these early losses with your team? You just watch every night, and you've got half your frontline guys, if not more, in street clothes. Have you found it challenging at all when you get into those post-game locker rooms and kind of framing the effort that you're seeing and obviously comparing that to your record?
No, it's not difficult. Really, with the exception of 2 games, the game at Memphis, we did not play well, did not compete at the level that we needed to, and then the home game against Atlanta. Those were the 2 that were not good. And really, you got to be realistic about things. And from a process standpoint, we have to be at a very high compete level, a very high unselfish level, and all those things. And the other games that we've played so far, we've met those standards, and so we've just got to be, we got to have a great level of objectivity here. On the one hand, on the other hand, we've got to work to get through a challenging time.
Rick, when you look at that fourth quarter, you all were down double digits, come back to tie the game. And I talked to Jarris and Pascal after the game. They were saying that this is sort of their DNA at this point. And why do you think, no matter who is out there for you guys, you all are able to rally and have that next play mentality despite, losing 2 guys throughout the game?
Well, this is what we've built. This is what we've done here. And when I say we, it's been everybody. It's been management, it's been the players, the coaching staff. We've really have strove to build a culture of compete no matter what. Get down and dirty as much as you have to, as far as getting on the floor, playing with grit, playing with guts, all that kind of stuff, and find a way. Find a way to win games, find a way to stay in games. Whatever the situation. So, I've been very pleased for the most part with the effort that we've had, really, with the exception of those two games. And tomorrow's another tough one, and we've lost a couple more guys here.
Again, it's Brooklyn tomorrow night for Rick Carlisle and the Pacers before they head out west here. Coach, last night I thought Isaiah Jackson gave you arguably probably one of his better games of his young career. I've found myself needing to remind myself he's only a year removed from the torn Achilles. What specifically did you like from Isaiah last night?
High level of aggression, energy. He's one of our fighters too. I know where he's from. I was in Detroit for a couple of years. He's from Pontiac, Michigan. I mean, those are tough dudes come out of there. And so he's a warrior type guy, and very heartening to see progress that he's made throughout the process of return to play. At the beginning, it was difficult. A lot of ups and downs, and very clearly did not have great rhythm, and trying to get his legs under him and those kinds of things. Last night, he just was able to bear down and take things to another level. And so, this is what we need from him on as many nights as he can do it. And really, this is what we ask of everyone, and that is just to give an unconditionally unselfish and gutty effort, out there to compete to win games.
You mentioned another night of injuries and Quentin Jackson leaving the game early, so you'll have to change up the starting lineup once again coming up tomorrow night. And I was curious, with all of your injuries, particularly at point guard, we've talked over the past couple of years, you've really handed the ball to Tyrese and allowed so much freedom for him. to run the show, and even I assume some of that has gone to TJ McConnell or Andrew Nemhart. Have you had to, I guess, call more plays from the sidelines this year? Have you had to create more like structure within the game offensively because of all the point guard in and outs that you've had through the first handful of games?
Well, things are different for sure. I wasn't sure if we were going to need to do that at an extreme level. We have the capability to do it if needed. On the one hand, we don't have the playmakers, the regular guys, Tyrese, TJ, and Nimhard. On the other hand, the other guys have played in this style and have played a pass move, create a problem type style. And when you get in this situation, slowing the game down can seem like a good idea, but it can be a curse too, because it's a lot harder to get shots, let alone score. So we've tried to keep the tempo up. We need to keep an element of ball security in. Live ball turnovers in this kind of situation are very difficult to overcome. And the idea is to play as much through our best players as we can. And right now, the two guys that are the main guys, obviously, are Pascal Siakam and Aaron Nesmith. And so a lot of action is going through them. And we got to continue to try to find the best opportunities we can.
Rick, when you look at that fourth quarter, Jarris Walker, 10 points, 4-4 shooting, 3 assists. What did you like from him down the stretch as far as just making himself available to knock down some shots, but also playmaking a bit to keep you all in that game?
Force, a level of force that is needed, and a level of force that I believe he can go to on a consistent basis. And so we need more of that. He's made progress for sure. People watching our games can see that that's an obvious fact. And this is an amazing opportunity for him right now. And so we need him, and he's got to be a guy that can do a little bit of everything for us. He's got the ability to guard. He's got the ability to rebound. He's got the ability to make open shots. He drove the ball well last night. His passing is something that is unique, to his sort of body type and skill set. And it's like an all of the above thing. And, I like the progress that he's made, and we're going to keep pushing him forward.
Rick, you've mentioned force a few times throughout Jarris and his development over the years. How do you teach force? I know he's already a tough guy, but what does that look like in practice?
Just a mindset. You simulate situations. You get out pads, beat guys up as they're driving the ball. Just it's a lot of it is an attitude, and so look, he's playing a different style than he played at Houston. I'm not really familiar with what his high school and time at IMG looked like from a style standpoint. I do know that he played point guard 1 year at IMG, when they had injuries. And so, but listen, this is a golden opportunity, for him and the organization right now, for him to get, some really high level, meaningful minutes during a period where, we have some real challenges. And so we need them.
Tuesdays at 8, Rick Carlisle with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Again, the Pacers got one more here at home before they head out west. Obviously, some extra juice in the building last night, Coach. Any interactions with Miles pregame or postgame for you?
He came over to the bench, to shake hands with people right before the tip. That was it. Yeah.
Were you surprised at all by the fan reaction pregame or within the game when Miles touched the ball?
I don't know. I guess not. And so, if you look at everything, that has transpired over whatever the period of time is. A lot of things, I guess, have been said. I'm not on those social media channels in large part, but you hear things, and so divorce is difficult. It just is. I will say that I always supported Miles, completely, and I always admired the man that he was when he was a member of the Indiana Pacers. I know he's from a great family, and all that, and sometimes these things are difficult, but I harbor no ill feelings toward Miles as a person. It would have been good if some of the things said were not said. And I don't want to get into all that, but some of the stuff going after teammates unnecessarily didn't make any sense, with the kind of character that he's demonstrated here. So it was tough. It was tough. I was not expecting that extreme a reaction, but on the one hand, on the other hand, things happen.
Rick, last one from me. You talk about franchise pillars, and Miles was one of those guys, and now your new one over the last couple of years has been Pascal Siakam. And after the game, he was talking about the balance of not going crazy because of the outcomes of these games, but also holding himself and his team accountable for trying to close these games out. So I've asked you just a few times, but with Pascal, when he talks about growth and his leadership, how have you seen him push himself even more at this stage of his career for a guy who probably has a Hall of Fame resume already?
He's an amazing player. I mean, just flat out. And he obviously, you see the skill set on the floor. You see the integrity with which he competes. He's unselfish, all that kind of stuff. And then there's a leadership element to it. That is an everyday thing that hasn't wavered. So he's extremely special. And this is really, you go back in the history of the Pacers in the NBA. I don't know that you're going to find a more significant acquisition, player acquisition, transaction, whatever you want to call it, in the history of the Pacers, during their NBA time. I'm not as versed on the ABA transactions that happened, but as far as the NBA, I mean, being able to trade for a guy like this, and he came to Indiana because he wanted to play with Tyrese Halliburton, and he wanted to play with the style that we were developing and a culture that we were building, and that those things are very gratifying. Our fans should be very proud of that. Our organization should be very proud of that too. And we need him now more than ever. I don't think that comes as any surprise to anybody.
Coach, kind of going off that and last one, and as always, we appreciate the time. You mentioned Aaron Nesmith alongside Pascal earlier. I thought that was a huge left-handed drive late in the game from Aaron Nesmith, as you're having to turn to other guys late in games right now. Where is their balance? And hell, maybe there's no balance at this point. It's just the state of your playing time. Is there any balance of putting too much on the plate of Aaron and Pascal in realizing that, oh boy, they have so much to handle right now for your franchise?
Yeah, it's just, it comes down to minutes, and it comes down to the load that you're talking about, and trying to navigate it as best as can be done. I think you look at the stat sheet after the game last night, and to me, the two stats that are the most telling is that Giannis plays 31 minutes and Pascal plays 38. And, that's something that is hard to overcome right now. You need your best players on the floor as much as possible. So got to keep looking at it. Got to keep being, I think, very vigilant about getting him and Aaron their rests. You know, Aaron only played a little under 34 minutes last night. You know, that's a manageable number. You know, but we just, just got to try to keep these guys as fresh as possible. I think at this point that's a pretty obvious statement.
Any chance Andrew or Ben play for you as you guys head out west?
I mean, you're talking about that's a week, 10 days out. So, is there a chance we'll get some guys back? There's a chance.
Rick Carlisle on the Payless Liquors hotline again. Pacers Nets coming up tomorrow night inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse before they indeed head out west. Coach, as always, thank you.
Okay, take care.
That's Rick Carlisle right there on a Tuesday morning. James Boyd, I'll leave it pretty open-ended for you. Anything that caught your ears from the Pacers head coach?
Well, you put the carrot out there, and I thought Carlisle took a little nibble there when it comes to the Miles Turner reaction and response, and particularly when it comes to, and we'll probably play this later in the show, the comment about Miles not needing to make certain comments about his former teammates. And I think, personally, I interpreted that as what I alluded to earlier with the Tyrese Halliburton comment, he's a tough guy on the court, won't act like that in the street type of thing, and maybe some other things. Of course, he wouldn't divulge too much more on that front, but I thought that was a pretty real response from Rick.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Team specific right now. It didn't look maybe pretty early on, but I did think the Jarris Walker end of that game was important.
He was balling.
And is critical. And Rick used the phrase that I think I mentioned a few weeks ago. It's an unbelievable opportunity for Jarris right now, and you just need him. And I get a lot more is probably thrown on his. He's got a Braden Smith plate, right? He's got the 7 over easy eggs. He's got the 7 pancakes. He's got the big plate of fruit.
Recall, KB.
That's what's on the plate of Jarris Walker right now, but you just have to have that from him. So we'll see exactly what the starting lineup looks like tonight, and if tomorrow night, I should say, with Quentin Jackson leaving early last night, and if Andrew Nembhard or Benedict Mathurin could get back here on that West Coast trip. Coming up 9 o'clock, we will have Mulaney Lowe join us from the Colts. She is the director of football ops. Mark, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say she joined us before the trip to Frankfurt.
Correct.
And so that would have been 2 years ago. It is a massive undertaking, sending an NFL team overseas for 1 week. And there's a unique wrinkle to this international game in that the Colts are the home team. So as the home team for the international games, you get a few more of the first choice options. And remember, Berlin, we have not had an NFL game yet there. So that's part of a little bit of the, first kind of what we're going to see coming up here on Sunday. Again, the Colts will practice normally this week and then head out on Thursday night. So she'll join us coming up here at 9 o'clock to discuss more about that.
I just remember the last conversation we had with her. She was talking about like the shipping containers they had to send with all the football equipment, like overseas and everything. I'm like, good Lord, there is a lot more planning in this than I thought there would be.
What's the technical word? Is it carnet? Is that right?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person.
I don't know. Carne asada.
I was about to say,
I know. When she
said it,
when she said it, I thought I was going to La Hacienda or something like that. But I think there is a ship mark that you do have to send whatever X amount of equipment over there, and obviously you have the passport thing. So we'll chat with her coming up at 9 o'clock. But let's go ahead and check it out.
All right, you heard the men talk to Rick Carlisle about the Pacers last night, the return of Miles Turner, and the health of the team moving forward. They'll try to win their second game of the year tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse when they take on the Brooklyn Nets. Last night, in the return of Turner, they got Giannis at the very end, James. Everybody was all focused on Miles, but Giannis, who's been averaging 34 points and 13 rebounds during the first part of this season, almost hit those numbers exactly last night, 33 and 13 with points 32 and 33 coming at the buzzer in a 2-point Bucks win.
Yeah, I believe that's the second walk-off winner of Giannis's career, first one since 2017, and obviously he gave it to the crowd with the boos in return for the boos that they bestowed upon Miles Turner.
Pascal Siakam led the Pacers with 32 points. Isaiah Jackson threw in 21, and I thought maybe his best game as a Pacer last night. Kevin, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, and really needed again right now. I think he had some early season struggles, particularly in the foul department, but I thought he gave you good minutes on both ends of the floor. If you want to label it, I thought he outplayed, frankly, Miles Turner last night there. So we'll see if that's more of things to come for Isaiah Jackson here moving forward.
All right. Also last night, Monday Night Football brought us the Arizona Cardinals against the Dallas Cowboys, and it was all Jacoby Brissett last night. He threw for a couple of touchdowns, ran for another, threw for more than 270 yards. And how about this? The Cowboys, they're just a mess. And Jonathan Gannon, I saw now early this morning, says that they're going back to Kyler Murray when he is healthy and available because that's just how he feels.
Did he really say that?
That's what he said.
Man. I think Jacoby Brissett, they're in a position right now where he's kind of earned it a little bit there.
You would think. 27-17 was the final score. Cardinals improved to 3-5. They're not probably going anywhere this year. Cowboys dropped to 3-5-1. And Jerry Jones said that there was going to be a trade today, although he wouldn't talk about it, but there would be a trade. And true to his word, there was a Cowboys trade this morning, Kevin.
Yeah, Logan Wilson, Bengals linebacker. I think many Colts fans have been curious about, could he be on the move here with the Lou Anarumo reunion? James, you said a 7th-round pick for Logan Wilson?
Yes.
So Dallas Cowboys do make that trade here early this morning. We did see another pass rusher get moved late last night. The Titans trading Draymond Jones to the Ravens for a day 3 pick. So we're starting to see a little activity, particularly on the defensive side of the ball here. Some AFC teams getting involved in the mix here. So trade deadline coming up 4 o'clock Eastern today. All Shane Steichen would offer is we're working through some things right now and asked about it yesterday.
That's right, Jerry. Sharing his suite with Stephen A. Smith last night. How about that?
Yeah, funny how that works out.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll share a suite with a billionaire owner.
Mm-hmm. And then try to rip his team for television views.
I did say, real quick, I told you when I got on the plane yesterday, they heard me calling you guys, talking about the game, and when I got off the phone, the lady said, well, at least you're not ESPN. And I was like, well, I didn't bring up Dallas Cowboys, so you're off the hook.
There you go. Colts, of course, getting ready for their overseas trip. They'll be taking on the Atlanta Falcons Sunday morning, 9:30 kickoff. Our pregame show starts bright and early, 6:30 in the morning. When's the last time, Mark, you think JMV was up at 6:30 in the morning? Probably the last time the Colts played.
I was going to say it might be for a basketball session at 7 a.m.
I feel like he's always up. I feel like he doesn't sleep.
He
Jake
might not
Query's
sleep.
the one never up.
He might sleep.
That is true. Jake, you ain't getting Jake up.
I remember I was doing Indiana Sports Talk, and I was getting off the air at like midnight, and all of a sudden JMV's walking the halls. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? It's a Saturday night. Why are you here?
That man loves radio, and he loves hoops.
He is good at it, too. All right, college football. The playoff rankings will be announced tonight at 8 p.m. It's the first playoff ranking. Obviously, there's a lot of room for movement, but Kevin, I would expect that Indiana would be sitting there at number 2 in this first ranking. My question to you is, where do you think the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame might end up?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think what the polls indicate
Number
right now.
one in our heart.
They were 12 in both polls.
12 in both polls? I thought they were higher than that. I don't know, somewhere right around 10, 11, 12. I'll be curious where Miami is ranked in relation to Notre Dame. I think that is a fascinating debate. Simply do you just say, hey, head-to-head, Miami won? Or is it, hey, the game was played at Miami. It was C.J. Carr's first start. It was a close game. Miami's not the same team, 2 months later than where they were then. So, again, the weird thing about these college football rankings is I don't know how much of advantage. Like, obviously, Indiana's a program. For them to be ranked number 1 would be an absurd accomplishment just based off their college football history. But there's not really a great amount of difference between 1, 2, and 3. Like, I guess you get
not really.
I mean, you get a pick maybe where you go, I think, for the quarterfinal if you're the 1, but like Indiana fans are going to travel wherever. And
yeah, Notre Dame's up to 10. Sorry about that, Kevin. They moved up 2 spots.
Yeah, I thought you undersold them, which I'm going to remember that.
I'm just used to you underselling them all the time.
Oh man, no, don't put that back on
no,
KB.
it's okay. It's okay if he undersells them.
Hey,
you're the one that went to USC's campus during the week of the Notre Dame USC.
Yeah. So it's time for both of y'all to square up.
So obviously tonight, when this gets announced, Indiana being 1 would be, a hell of an accomplishment. But
I want to see it, but I don't think it will happen.
And their resume, I mean, you can make the case if you took Ohio State's name off of it, if you just compared blind resumes, Indiana probably has the better resume.
Yeah, but I also think that people don't do that,
People are
right?
biased.
They're going to be like, they're the defending national champion, haven't lost a game, they're number one by default.
Yeah. All right, speaking of Ohio State, their basketball team won a thriller last night at home against IU Indianapolis. The new coach promised a lot of points and up-tempo. Man, he delivered last night. 220 points scored in a college basketball game, Kevin.
Ben Howlett said they would run, they would gun, they would play full court, and they did, certainly last night. So high octane, high energy should be entertaining over at the Jungle this year.
All right. Last night it was Ball State over Louisiana, 75-64. Davian Hill had 16 points. Cam Denson had 14. Your Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the court took out Long Island. 89-67 was the final score there. Marcus Burton scored 24. Your guy Cole Serta had 22 on the night. You like him?
I like him a lot. I like Ryder Frost a lot, and Carson Towd is Dennis Rodman. I love Notre Dame basketball.
He had 19 rebounds last night.
19 rebounds.
Charlotte beat Indiana State 92-76. Grand Canyon, a 90-71 winner over Purdue Fort Wayne. Later tonight, Evansville plays at Purdue, and Eastern Illinois goes up against Valpo. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we get going
Smith on the front cover of Slam. Did I see that?
Ooh, I missed that.
Saw Matt Painter rocking a Braden Smith Slam magazine T-shirt there. So, yes, the highly anticipated Purdue basketball season, a 32.5-point favorite tonight. Early tip time, 6:30. Inside of Mackey.
I'll throw this out there. AJ DeBanza, BYU, looked really good yesterday.
How about the kid for Arizona?
Oh, yes. Koa Pete. I'm saying that hopefully right. He looked amazing last night. Darren Peterson looks pretty special for Kansas. So it's just some names they're out there in case the Pacers
really
end up.
good.
Yeah, in case the Pacers end up in the lottery, man. This could be a great, great year to have a top 5 pick.
We have a texter that wants us to keep track of Koa Pete all year long, I think.
The kid looked good.
I'm just curious, too. Mark, even you and I aren't going to go in on early college basketball season betting with Purdue a 32.5-point favorite over Evansville tonight, right?
No.
Both of us are going to stay away from that one even. How about that?
Well, I might need to print off these college football rankings for you to know where my Irish are, it sounds like, during the break.
Also, I want to give a shout-out to my favorite, Jenny. She always waits on my sons and I over at the Sunrise Cafe. She does a great job, and I just wanted to give her a shout-out because she just deserves one.
Okay.
She is the owner's sister-in-law, married to his brother. Great family.
Christine.
Gotta love him.
If you cut them, that's fine.
She waits. Christine's with us when she waits on us. Come on,
I'm just saying, Christine, if you black his eye, I won't say nothing.
You always go there.
Shout out to all the waitresses I've had in my life, too. Love you, girls.
Shout out some other woman. The locks are changed at my house.
Jenny and the Sunrise Crew, they're like family to us. Come on now.
We should probably get the break before you get, you know.
They're in the other wing opposite of the co-eds that were here a couple months ago.
Gosh, aren't we over? Shouldn't we hit a break, Jeff, for more reasons than one?
We need to hit a break. It's getting worse in here. All right, coming up 9 o'clock, we will talk how you get a football team from here to Germany and back all in one piece, right, Kevin? Looking forward to that. Time out here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We're saving this one for a little bit later. We'll do it now. You see, Purdue lost running back Devin Mockabee for the rest of the season. That was announced yesterday. He had an ankle injury, and Barry Odom said he had a procedure done on Monday, and the news was not what they were hoping for. So he also had a nice post on social media yesterday saying that he's going to miss everybody. Fifth-year senior. It went from, as you know, Kevin, went from a walk-on to the fourth leading rusher in Purdue history, and at one point before he got hurt, 37 consecutive games he'd played in.
Yeah, great story. I forget. I think he was on with John maybe last year or the year before that. Really enjoyed hearing his story. I think there's a military background, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, I mean, to go from a walk-on to one of the best runners in that program's history, hell of a story. And he stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And in today's world, especially when you have coaching changes, you don't get that very often there. So I know he probably won't go down in maybe the lineage of Purdue players to remember, but in his own way, I think he should be remembered quite fondly there.
Yeah, pretty good. Ranks 4th in 100-yard rushing games, 4th in rushing yards, 7th in all-purpose yards, 9th in touchdowns. He was only 13 yards away from becoming the 4th player in Purdue history to get past 3,000 rushing yards. So, going to miss him. And it was if you find it, if you're on social media today, go check out Devin Mockabee. It was very, very warm, heartfelt. Clearly, the kid, to your point about not moving anywhere, loves playing football at Purdue.
I could have used Curt Cignetti in college.
How's
in what
that?
way?
You hear Curt Cignetti to describe these IU opponents, you would think they're playing the 72 Dolphins each week. I could have used him next to me describing me, and maybe some
Just pumping you up.
interaction. Yesterday, his comment about Penn State was they are a top 25 team in the ESPN Power Football Index rankings.
You had to go hard to find that one.
I was about to say, yeah, certainly.
You did some research on that.
Do we think Penn State will show up in the rankings tonight, guys?
No.
Probably not.
But lo and behold, they are top 25 in the Power Football Index rankings. Can you imagine being like his stats person that has to go find
the bulletin board
make
material.
sure this team looks good. Some way, somehow, you make sure this team looks good. Indiana 2-touchdown road favorite.
Well, you're not too far away from pumping up UCLA as one of the great teams in the Big Ten all of a sudden,
you only refer to them as the undefeated UCLA team, right?
Yeah, because when Indiana had played them, their new head coach had not lost a game yet.
It's working. They're beating the brakes off teams, so they'll try to do it here coming up. Sounds like Aiden Fisher should be back. Elijah Surratt, tight hamstring. That was the injury update there, so maybe he's a little bit more iffy, but it does look like Indiana, from a health standpoint, I know some things looked a little murky early in that game on Saturday. They seem to be doing all right, though.
No, we used to pump everybody up like that, too. Remember, your boy Lou Holtz used to do that at Notre Dame all the time, make the other team out to be the greatest thing ever. And then I remember before the Orange Bowl one year when they're playing Colorado, there was a parabolic mic that caught him in their last practice. He'd been telling the media how great Colorado was, how tough they were, how they had speed everywhere. And then on the parabolic mic, Lou gets caught saying, "They live in a lie. They've been living a lie all year long. We're going to expose that lie for them coming up on Saturday." It's just typical Lou. It was great.
Mark Dykton, you have a Lou Holtz impersonation?
Not really. I need to lose some teeth, and then I could probably get one in there.
Oh my goodness!
Well, he's got like the lisp and everything.
I thought Jeff's was very mediocre. I was hoping Mark would kind of.
I can't do. No one can.
Mark's got some excellent ones. So
Frank Caliendo does a nice one.
He would, yeah.
That's about
I feel like Mayte would be good at that.
Let's get Lou Holtz to Penn State.
Oh Lord.
Lou's gonna be he's got to be closer to 90 than 80 these days, isn't he?
That's probably a safe bet.
Yeah, I love.
I don't get. They rain man cold, but they're.
That was him describing Ohio State, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't catch much of that.
Tell me we've got the Ryan Day audio handy.
I need to find that.
I love that.
Sure
yeah, when Ryan Day was clapping
That's
back.
my dream. I want to beef with all the old people in my life.
Honestly,
okay?
It was one night out of the
We ain't
year.
respecting no elders around here.
Did he choose Lou over Corso or what?
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
I love that. Beefing with old folks, man, come on. The man wasn't even up watching that game probably.
James Boyd, you love Petty more than I love crispy bacon.
I love that.
Okay, so hear me out here.
It's hilarious.
You love Petty more than I love crispy bacon. Was there any part of you last night when the double came to Giannis, you thought to yourself, oh my gosh, are we going to get a Turner game winner and are we going to get an epic moment postgame? Was there any part of you?
So the pettiness for me was I just wanted him to take the shot. Because I think it would be hilarious.
One way or the other. Yeah.
If could you imagine if he smoked?
Oh,
and I'm using slang. I'm sorry. If he missed a short layup like that at the buzzer for game,
and the Pacers won in overtime.
Could you imagine the nerves that he would have had in that moment?
And it would have been one of those awkward little 4-6
it wasn't like you
there.
catch it and dunk it.
No,
it's like a little
he
bit of a
shot it in a hurry.
Boy, and I also think that there's just less pressure in general when you take that shot knowing if we miss, we go to overtime type of thing. So they were able to drain the clock all the way down. And, part of me I just wanted Miles to take the shot. Because seeing him celebrate afterwards and, I saw the locker room reactions. I think Doc Rivers said there's one guy we weren't going to let lose tonight and all these things. It's like, man, this dude's only points in the second half came off an air ball from his teammate. I wanted Miles to take that shot so bad. But also the Bucks knew, no. You ain't getting that last shot. We're trying to win this game, so let's give it to our superstar.
Giannis knew that nobody was getting that last shot except for him.
I can't believe he hit that. I mean, that's a shot. If you'd have told me that's the shot the Pacers are going to have against them in the huddle, you'd sign up for that 10 times out of 10. Shout out to listener Ashley here. She did tag us in
I did see this, yes.
Video from pregame here, and Angela Morian does an awesome job at Wish. She captured a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff last night.
She's okay. You can tell her said
that. She captured a moment between John Halliburton and Miles Turner's father embracing pregame. So I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, James, I believe both T.J. McConnell and Tyrese Halliburton were pretty quick exiters off the bench last night. Once Giannis hit the shot, a few more Pacer players did hang around and embrace with Miles Turner, but, for what it's worth, the dads came together for an embrace. Sometimes I'd love to hug Mr. Turner. He just seems like a nice, cuddly individual.
Okay.
There were a lot of hugs before the game between the Halliburton family and the Turner family.
I will say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. There was an embrace there between, and I believe Mrs. Turner as well.
I saw Miles Turner, his father, actually, at Burn Lounge. This was back during I want to say it might have been the NBA Finals. And I told him in that moment, like, hey, your son's awesome. And obviously that was before he left. And I was like, he's a great dude or whatever. And I think that this is a case of having the adults kind of be adults. And they know eventually our sons will probably work it out. And keeping in mind the perspective of the whole situation. Like, this isn't Miles is something criminal towards you. It's basketball beef. And I think, honestly, the best medicine for that will be when Tyrese is able to play. So when he's able to play, you go out there, you compete, win, lose, whatever. I think the reaction afterwards of I kind of said my piece through my play is a little bit easier to sort of swallow when you're a competitor versus, oh, man, this guy's out here with his new team and he left us and I can't do anything to change that right now.
I will say, and I'm clearly inferring here, I want to make that very clear, but when Giannis turned back around after the shot last night, and he did his little celebration and his thumbs down and he's booing, et cetera, when he turned back around and looked towards the other end of the floor, I do think he was looking to see if John Halliburton was in those seats. And I thought to myself, John, I don't think was sitting there last night. You know how Tyrese's family has a... Was he?
He was there, yes.
Oh, I thought when they panned to those seats, he wasn't in those.
Oh, no. I want to say they have a photo of him after the shot in, the photo.
Oh, really? Yeah. I thought he wasn't in those. But I thought to myself, oh, boy, are we going to get something here? But actually, credit to Giannis's brother. I think he did a nice job calming his better brother down, and they eventually made their way.
He better than me. I'd have walked straight. The court is mine. If I'm the player, I'm walking straight to the baseline and showing him, take that L with you. Now, granted, Pacers fans will say, well, we'll reach in the playoffs. That counts more. Yes, it does. But me being king of petty, the rule of petty is whatever happened most recently is all we remember. So, there you go.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
No one knows petty better than James Boyd.
Mark,
you are the petty reporter.
I should hate
Chief
that audio.
Petty officer here.
But I love that audio. That was so good.
I think we have a new title for James, Chief Petty Officer of the Fan Morning Show.
Hey, I love it.
He would fully embrace that.
Yeah. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll take a look at trade deadline day in the National Football League. Is Chris Ballard making phone calls? Probably. Is there a deal to be made? Who knows? We'll find out what everybody's thoughts are next on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Yep, there he is. The return of Miles Turner to the Fieldhouse last night. If you missed it, a conversation with head coach Rick Carlisle at the top of the hour about 50 minutes ago, wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. What was your big takeaway from talking to Coach Carlisle today, Kevin?
Well, I think we'll definitely play, maybe coming up here in, 20 minutes or so, we'll definitely play his reaction to the fans reacting to Miles Turner. I thought it was very candid from Rick Carlisle and his thoughts there. But, yeah, I mean, James, you were in that postgame last night, and, just the framing of these losses, I think it's really difficult for Rick right now. It's like, professional sports, it's hard to play the moral victory bar.
Yeah.
But if there ever is a time, it's the state of the Pacers right now. And you're watching that game last night, and your starting point guard leaves the game. I mean, Quentin Jackson, seemingly re-aggravates his, right hamstring injury. And it's just it's a brutal time. And the light at the end of the tunnel seems so far away right now. It's really difficult, I think, to watch the offensive flow from the Pacers, and just I would say 99.9% of it is rooted in injuries.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm talking to Jeremiah Robinson Earl, I believe, or Earl Robinson, I'm sorry, after the game.
Robinson Earl, I think you had it right.
Yeah,
the first
Robinson
time.
Earl. Yeah.
Jeremiah Robinson Earl after the game, and he's saying, hey, I didn't even practice with this team. And, okay, go out there and give us 5 or 6 minutes.
He's taking meaningful shots in the fourth quarter last night.
And he was actually +8 in his minutes, so it wasn't like he went out there and stunk it up. But that just kind of underscores what they've had to deal with. And Pascal said it can weigh on your brain. You can kind of go down the idea of negativity and feeling like, okay, are we ever going to get out of this rut? But he said you can't feel sorry for yourself. And I think he's sort of the perfect leader to kind of guide this group because of the way his career has gone. I thought he was very candid after the game. And he said, me personally, how I deal with it, he's like, in my career, nothing has come easy. And you look at his life journey, it really hasn't come easy. And Jarris Walker said the same thing. It's like everyone has kind of like their own sort of story or adversity they've had to deal with to get to this point. And I think that's what they've rely on individually. And then collectively, it's just the belief that, no matter what happens, we won't just lay down, which I have to respect because it could be very easy to give in. And Rick talked about that last night. Outside of a couple of games this year, he's been proud of the effort, but I think some wins would just, boost the moral side of things a little bit because when you're giving everything, I mean, I'm looking at Pascal in the locker room last night. He's sitting in his chair, and we're talking to Jarris, and Johnny Furphy's walking by. I'll say walking very loosely there because he's really limping by with the crutches, and Pascal just kind of throws his hands up like, what the heck? And then, kind of shakes his head. He's got blood on his own tights from the game, and he untapes his ankles and hits the showers like, I got to do this again, in a couple days. But you could just see kind of the emotional toll it takes on you when you see guys constantly dropping.
I think if you do want to point to a few individuals, I think you've seen nice growth from Aaron Nesmith. Again, much more is being put on his plate. I thought that drive with the left hand last night was a huge play that is not Nesmith's forte by any means. But yet you have to have him deliver in those moments in different ways. And then the sample size is still small, but Isaiah Jackson, much better this week than he was last week. And I thought Jarris Walker a little bit better as the game moved along last night. So now the question is, can you repeat some of these performances? Can you continue to see that from your young guys?
How many guys do they actually have healthy on their current roster right now? Guys that are good to go, don't have to worry about any designation of any kind.
Well, I'm about to say, you want me to look at the list?
Man,
it's not very long.
I was going to guess 10 or 11.
So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that are available without any injury designation that I know of. And they also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 guys. I counted by 2 for the last 2 that left yesterday's game. So that includes Tyrese Halliburton. So really about 7 that are hurt. I mean, an NBA roster is never supposed to be this long. Not with this many injuries, but I mean, that's sports sometimes, man, and it's cruel and it's not fair. But as Siakam pointed out, fair is not something you have to. So fair is not something you can live your life with as an athlete, or really, honestly, probably as a person. Life ain't fair.
Well, they'll try to get their stuff together to take on the Brooklyn Nets, who have not yet won a game tomorrow night. And Brooklyn, I saw them on their opening night. I was in Charlotte and watched them. That is not a good basketball team, and they have no desire to be a good basketball team. I think they're kind of openly trying to tank. That team might not win 20 games. They might not win 15 this year.
No, the Pacers need to win tomorrow night. Point blank, period.
All right, we'll talk more about that coming up in a few minutes. Also got trade deadline on our minds for the Indianapolis Colts and the National Football League. How do you get an entire team and all that goes with it from Indianapolis to Berlin? We're going to find out next as we continue the Fan Morning Show, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Up Tuesday is going well as we continue here on the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5. The Fan. Big week for the Indianapolis Colts. You got the trade deadline coming your way at 4 p.m. Eastern later on today. The Colts trying to bounce back from that loss to Pittsburgh. They're still 7-2 and still the number one team in the AFC. And now they pack up and head to Berlin for a game on Sunday morning against the Atlanta Falcons. And here to tell us a little bit more about what it's like to move an entire franchise for a week to a completely different country on a different continent is Melanie Lowe. She is the Director of Football Operations for your Indianapolis Colts, and she joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning, Melanie. There's nothing on your to-do list. I'm sorry? Mulaney. I'm sorry, Melania. My bad. I can't even.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Well, I've been schooled and appropriately so, but welcome to the program. We appreciate you being here in the morning on a Tuesday, but I was going to say you have nothing on your to-do list today, do you?
Well, I have 4 hours to go, and we're boarding planes on our way to Berlin. Us, a dance group. We've got 10 of us going there ahead of the team today.
Mulaney, thank you for the time. I know this has been probably quite the undertaking, although, I don't know, maybe Frankfurt braced you a little bit for it, although a different part of Germany. Walk us through 2025 from, I think you guys had an advance in the spring as well. As much as you find it interesting to you or our audience, what has this process been like as early as going out there back in the spring?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So we went over in April, and we've been working on this trip ever since. We got notified right around in February that we were going over to Berlin, and it hasn't stopped. We went over in April and saw the stadium, the hotel, the practice site, and got to choose, given that we're the home team, we got to choose the different sites that we prefer, what was best for the team, came back to our colleagues, shared the information, and hit the ground running on planning. It's been interesting, too, because you realize, you're planning 2 trips every week up until this game. Like you're planning for Pittsburgh last week and Berlin, or, preseason training camp and Berlin. So it's really exciting to get this thing rolling, and we're excited to go.
You were most nervous about what? Or maybe the hardest thing to plan was what?
I think the hardest thing is always the aircraft, just because there's so many things that can go wrong, and that's the most important thing. You got to get them there, right? And then once they're there, a lot of things you can adjust and kind of figure out on the fly, but they've got to have a plane to get there. So we had to reach out to several different airlines. Hey, can you take us? What does it cost? Negotiating pricing and just, do you have availability? Like, what's the biggest aircraft? What's most comfortable for our team? And from there, we get to customize our entire plane. So where do players sit? The manifest? When do the lights turn off? What kind of food do we serve? All of that is really customizable. So I think that's really the biggest chunk that we've had to figure out this year.
Melanie Lowe joining us here on the Payless Liquors hotline, the Director of Football Operations for the Colts. And Melanie, I have to ask this because I feel like my passport is staring at me every time I leave my apartment, because I'm heading over to Germany as well later this week. How high up on the list is that for reminding players to actually bring that?
Oh, gosh, you have no idea. I think that's what keeps me up at night. So we don't, we trust them, but we don't, right? So we collect all of those back in training camp. We're like, okay, you're back here, you're ready, you're locked in for season, we're taking your passport for you. So, and you have to, realize too, when we're doing all the transactions and different, the roster's fluctuating, we're making sure that these guys have passports, visas, all of the things. But that's high on the priority. We start that in April. Okay, who needs passports? Let's get you going. Let's get the process rolling.
That's crazy to think about all the things that you have to be responsible for to make sure that they only have to show up and play. What's the one thing you've learned through this process that you just didn't know going in?
That's a great question. I think that relying on the people around you is really important. So whether it's the league or the people in Germany, they're experts at what they do. So making sure that you make really great connections when you're over there. And like the soccer team, for example, we're playing at a professional soccer team's practice site and using them as resources. Hey, what type of protein powder do you use? Or, what does your training equipment, your weight room look like? Can we use some of the things that you guys have while we're over there? Since, not everything's accepted, or we can't ship over everything that we normally would use, just with customs. So it's a lot of learning, like, hey, what's allowed into the country, what does customs look like, and what's necessary to bring over. Like you said, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to make sure this is as seamless as possible, making sure the guys have everything that they need and it replicates a home game and still allow them an experience in Germany.
It's the voice of Mulaney Lowe. She certainly will deserve a cold beverage coming up late Sunday whenever the Colts do depart from Germany and everything is back to normal. I say that in quotes. She's the director of football ops for the Colts. Mulaney, you mentioned the home aspect to it. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say the Colts were the road team back in 2016 as well when they went
Correct.
to London, and then you guys were the road team with New England a couple of years ago. So the home element, for our audience that might not be super familiar with that, with the international games, that provides what for you?
When we were in Berlin in April, we got to have first choice on all of the hotels, the practice sites. So we get first dibs. Whatever works best for our team, we decide, and then the Atlanta Falcons came in second. It also, weirdly enough, it allows us to leave the country first. So if not, Germany does have a curfew, so you can't fly past 11 p.m., which we ran into that in 23, getting close to that 11 o'clock deadline. Then you would have to stay in the country. So it gives us priority out of the country to make sure our team can get back to the U.S. and have a normal bye week that following week.
Boy, nothing's gonna make those boys jog a little more to the bus than that potential of staying another night there. Do you guys have home presentation within the game? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't fall on your plate, but like, will the game aspect, I don't know, commercial breaks, those sorts of things, jumbotron, music, is that all Colts?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. We have fan activations throughout the city leading up to. We have a big activation outside of the stadium. The paint itself on the field will represent both teams, but in-game experience will all be the Colts.
Mulaney, now I know you discussed getting the players over there, but as far as equipment goes, does that travel separately? How do you all make sure that helmets, shoulder pads, and Band-Aids are making the trip and flight over as well?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest, other than the aircraft, sending stuff over is one of the biggest lifts for us. So we actually send everything on a boat back in August. So while we're prepping for training camp and going on the road for away joint practices, we're also shipping stuff for Germany. So there's a lot of moving pieces in August just to get prepped. So you're trying to think ahead, like, hey, what will I need in 3 months, and wrap your head around that. So we send everything on a boat. That has to be put on what's called a carnet, and it's broken out like how much does it weigh, the country of origin, all the serial numbers. So it's a pretty tedious process. And then we fly some of our equipment also on the plane, things that we can't necessarily ship in August, such as your shoulder pads and your helmets.
So can you explain what carnet is? Because we were talking about this earlier. Kevin brought it up. And I told him the only carne I know is carne asada.
Yeah, right.
So
right. Something in Bakersfield you would order, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you, but you kind of lost me there.
I wish it was that. No, so it's actually all the paperwork, the documentation for customs. So it's this long 50-page document, and it lists every single item, every single Band-Aid, every single piece of equipment that you can name that's in all of our trunks that we bring over. We have to put the serial numbers, the country of origin, the weights, all of that on documentation, send it over to German customs to get approved. I wish it was food. Unfortunately, it's not.
How would you compare, and Mulaney Lowe, Colts Director of Football Ops with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline, how would you compare the international charter to your weekly domestic charters?
We try to keep it as consistent as possible just so the guys have familiarity. So tons of snacks, more than you could ever eat in your life, tons of drinks, hydration items, supplements. So I would say it's very similar. It's a bigger aircraft. We try to make sure these guys are taken care of. We have 60 lay-down flat seats, pods, so they're going to be comfortable. The 53-man roster is set, So I think that it's a little bit more spacious, get the guys to stretch out a little bit more, but standard operation, a couple more meals on the flight. And like I said, we customize all of that from start to finish. When do we dim the lights? When do we want to wake them up and turn the lights on? How many pillows and blankets do we order? All of that stuff runs through us and our department and all the people around us, too. There's a huge support staff at the Colts that kind of get this thing moving and grooving.
Mulaney Lowe, she is the Director of Football Operations for the Indianapolis Colts, in charge of helping them get from here to there being Berlin on Sunday. It's really more of a West Coast team question because I've seen it before, but was there ever any discussion or thought about, hey, you're already way on the East Coast playing in Pittsburgh, any chance of just flying straight to Berlin from there, or was it always coming back to Indy?
Great question. I think that's one of the huge benefits of being in Indianapolis is we're kind of centrally located. So there was no discussion on going over there. I do know West Coast teams tend to do that. But for us, it's so close, and you want to have the benefit of being at your facility with the team, with the week leading up, just because at least that's our mentality. Have this week be as normal as possible for the guys and limit distractions, limit like them being out of their element, and then hit the ground running on Thursday. So no, this is a normal road trip. Treat it like a normal road trip.
Mulaney, last one for me. We really appreciate your time because obviously you are departing the States here, coming up in a few hours. How would you compare this stadium? History is obviously literally through the roof from this stadium to the Frankfurt one a couple years ago. For our fans that might be going over there to watch the game, what would you compare this stadium to from a Frankfurt standpoint?
Oh, gosh, I'm very, very excited about it. I had goosebumps in 23 when I saw the stadium and the crowd. But this stadium, when we went over in April, and mind you, this was an empty stadium, I had goosebumps. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's historic. And just knowing how the crowd was in Frankfurt, I have no doubt this atmosphere is going to be electric, and it helps with our record. I'm so excited. It's going to be a great game and a great weekend.
It's a bigger venue, right, than the Frankfurt one?
It sure is. Yep, bigger city and a lot more activations. So we're very excited.
So, Mulaney, the last one I have, and I've been really itching to ask it since you joined the call. How did you get this job? And how do you explain this to your family? Because my family's like, what the heck do? You write about sports? Do you work for the team? Do you not? But for yours, I'm like, how do you even get in this lane? So did you ever think you'd be where you are? And, yeah, how did you end up getting this type of job that is very unique?
It's a great question. It's really hard to describe what we do. I always kind of like, what do we, it's like almost, what do you not do? What do you do? I actually started when I went to St. Mary's College, and I started working for Notre Dame football when I was a freshman in equipment, actually. Loved equipment, worked for, the football team, obviously, and got my start, and then kind of explored different career avenues within, and took an internship with the Colts about 5 years ago, and loved every minute since. So very grateful to be here, and I think it's important to have a little bit of an equipment background. You understand kind of the grunt work that goes into getting a team, put together, helmets, shoulder pads, all the things, and the more knowledge you can build, the better.
Well, when in doubt, just put Blue in charge, and everything will be perfect, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Mulaney, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you, and thanks for putting up with me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you in Berlin.
All right. Mulaney Lowe, she'll see you in Berlin. You're on your way, too. When do you leave?
I leave Thursday after the show, after practice, actually.
Mm-hmm. You got your melatonin for the flight, James Wood?
Nah, I've never taken anything to go to sleep. I'm pretty good at sleeping on planes. Like I told you, I told you the NBA kind of broke me in. So since then, I can sleep whether the flight is literally 10 minutes or if it's 10 hours.
Good stuff.
That's the goal for the Colts. When you fly over there, you need to sleep on. They're leaving 8 o'clock Thursday. You need to sleep on that flight.
You've done the overseas too, right?
Before? Yeah, and I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
This is the London trip in 2016. I get to my hotel room and I nap. And boy, did I regret that, because then the Colts had practice like an hour later, and I literally was almost falling asleep watching practice.
For real, I was fine. People say you don't nap. I did, and I got up and I was rocking and rolling.
Man,
So here's a question: if the Colts do make a trade today, you got to make sure that guy has a passport.
I would like to think you could expedite that process. And at this point in the NFL, if you are in the league and you don't have a passport, that's probably on you.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, but I also think that it's probably just a bunch of like rookies and stuff that might not have been out of the country yet when it comes to getting
right.
The,
but it's
passport.
Like if you're going to play in the NFL with how many international games there are, you need to get a passport. Like,
I'm sure it was
your
on the
agent
priority list,
should be, on that. So
that's true.
I would like to think that won't be an issue. So honestly, again, the Colts are the home team for this one. That is a different wrinkle from their first couple of international games. So thank you to Mulaney Lowe, Director of Football Ops for the Colts.
I also love the fact that you become an Indianapolis Colt this year. You immediately surrender your passport to the team. We'll hold on to it for you until after we're done, man.
I'm like, I think it might have been the Pistons. They had a game overseas a couple years ago, and Jalen Duren, one of their younger players, forgot his passport, and they had to scramble and figure out. And I want to say, I don't know if he was able to travel or go over there because of this. And so, I figured that'd be high on the priority list of making sure Daniel Jones and company has their passport.
It doesn't happen very often, but we've seen athletes in various sports when they have to go to Canada get held up with visa restrictions and things like that even.
Honestly, probably one of my biggest memories from the 2016 trip. The Colts lose that game to Jacksonville. I want to say the start to that season was 1-3, and now that I'm thinking about it, I want to say Ryan Grigson was fired at the end of that season. So it was starting to create, kind of that early season turmoil. And we're going through customs at Heathrow on the way back, and Chuck Pagano's probably 3 or 4 in line in front of me. And I don't know, maybe in the international world they call it something different, but the TSA agent, is trying to be as friendly as a TSA agent can be of, hey, thank you, this is what needs to come out of your bag, blah, blah, blah. She's making small talk with like every third or fourth person, and she decides to pick Chuck Pagano for the small talk. Like, oh, so what brought you over here? Did you enjoy your trip? And I'm thinking to myself, lady, if you only knew that man just lost the Jacksonville Jaguars in the fashion that they lost. And, Chuck, luckily, he's an extremely nice individual. He entertained her in the small talk world, but that was quite the moment. And the Colts actually elected to play a game the following week, which, again, I think some teams have realized maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. The Colts played the Bears that very next week and beat the Bears that very next week. So they're going bye week, and they've done that now both times with Shane Steichen, but they did beat the Bears inside of Lucas Oil Stadium back in 2016.
You catch that,
I
Mark?
love you, KB, but damn.
Yeah. The Cincinnati Bengals
That's what he
don't
said
beat
to the TSA
Bears.
agent.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Jeff throwing shots at your team. He said, who don't beat the Bears?
Speaking of the Bengals, though, they're melting down after the loss to the Bears. Did you see after the game, Chase Brown and Jamar Chase both really kind of going off on some of their teammates? Not their teammates
that's what
specifically.
happens when you put all that money in offense and none in defense.
Man.
Outside Trey Hendrickson. I don't feel bad.
I know you don't. That was, if you're a Bengals fan, though, how disastrous was the last minute and a half of that game?
You scored 38 points in back-to-back weeks and you lost both games.
And the way they did it.
That
you give up
seems
an
impossible.
onside kick and then like a, 50, how long was that touchdown pass at the end? 55, 60 yards?
To Colston Loveland, it was 58 yards.
Man.
For our college football fans curious out there, again, tonight we'll have our first college football rankings. They have announced the kick times for the respective playoff games. I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud, but Indiana football fans, are you listening? We remember last year, of course, Notre Dame and Indiana slotted in that first Friday night game. So that was the 8 o'clock on Friday, December 19th. That will be the kick time this year. You'll have 3 games that first Saturday. So December 20th, you don't want a wedding that day. Noon, 3:30, 7:30. But again, those are the round games of 5 through 12. In all likelihood, Indiana's getting a bye. They're going to be in the quarterfinals, which the quarterfinal games, you're going to have New Year's Eve, 7:30 in Dallas. Noon, New Year's Day in Miami. That would be the Orange Bowl. 4 o'clock New Year's Day at the Rose Bowl. And 8 o'clock for the Sugar Bowl New Year's Day. So Indiana right now would be slotted into one of those 4 games, either New Year's Eve in Dallas, New Year's Day in Miami, New Year's Day at the Rose Bowl at 4 o'clock, or New Orleans there at 8 o'clock. The national championship is in Miami. That is Monday, January 19th.
Feels like if they're the top 2 teams and then the both teams that get the bye would be the Big Ten teams. One of them you'd figure would go to the Rose Bowl, right? They'd try to do that, I would think.
Well, you pick, right? So Oregon last year picked, I believe, the Rose Bowl because they wanted to be closest to home. If you were Indiana, wouldn't you pick, well, I mean, I
New
don't
Orleans
know.
or Dallas, maybe?
Miami or Dallas?
Maybe.
I would think you would want to avoid New Orleans. I feel like New Orleans is the SEC hub.
Right.
Like Notre Dame had to play Georgia.
You're going to be
last
playing
year
kind
there.
of a road game there, probably.
Well, yeah.
It's depending.
I'll tell you what, man, Indiana fans are going to travel like no other for this quarterfinal game. I can guarantee that.
That's
But a little bit
fun.
of things to plan ahead for, because Christmas presents might have to wait. You might be spending all your money on travel to watch your team in the playoff.
All right, let's check it down, Mark, and give everybody else all the information they may have missed overnight. If you did miss it, you missed the return of Miles Turner to the Fieldhouse. Last night, the Pacers hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks get the better of the Pacers, 117-115. Miles Turner was booed prior to the game during not only his introduction, but also during the tribute video that the Pacers had put out. This was his response after the game. Oh, which one were you going to play? All right.
It was disheartening, man. It was frustrating. You give 10 years of your life, your blood, your sweat, your tears. You take pay cuts. You survive trade rumors. You try to do everything the right way, and then sometimes not enough stuff shakes out. It's cool. I take it on the chin. I think a lot of people will say I said things, but I think a lot of people want to formulate their own narratives and spin it to whatever they want it to be. But it is what it is, man. Like I say, you take it on the chin, you just move on.
All right, so at the end of the game, it was all Giannis time as he hit the game winner as time expired. 117-115. He had 33 points, 13 rebounds. That overcame the 32 scored by Pascal Siakam. And a nice game for Isaiah Jackson with 21 points. But it was all about the return of Miles Turner, and he was not exactly welcomed back by the fans.
No, he was booed mercilessly throughout his tribute video, booed whenever he touched the ball, booed at the end of the game after Giannis makes the game winner and Miles is celebrating. So he heard boos quite a bit last night. And I honestly thought, outside of him blocking 5 shots, which he was elite at when he was with the Pacers, obviously all-time block leader for the franchise, but I thought he was actually outplayed by Isaiah Jackson, who, like you said, had 21 points last night, but also, I believe, had his third 20-point double-double of his career.
And stop me if you've heard this before, James Boyd, do we have more injuries for the Pacers after the game last night?
Yes, unfortunately, I saw Johnny Furphy limping out of the locker room on crutches. Left ankle is an issue for him, and I think Quentin Jackson, I don't know if it's the same hamstring, but he's dealing with the hamstring strain.
I think it was.
So, yeah, unfortunate there, and so you're going to have to pivot and do what they've done the first, 6-7 games of the year, which is just roll the ball out there and play with whoever you got.
All right, the Pacers will play again Wednesday night at home against the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn last night lost at home 125-109 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. We can also tell you in college basketball last night, people starting to play real games, not exhibition. Ohio State over IU Indianapolis 118-102, but Kevin Bowen, brand new coach there, promised up-tempo and lots of scoring, and, man, they gave it to the Buckeyes last night.
Yeah, one other thing, Pacer-wise, let's play that Rick Carlisle clip on the other side. I thought he had some pretty candid comments in regards to Miles Turner and the reaction he got when he joined us earlier in the show. We'll play that for you coming up here in a few. But, yeah, Ben Hallett, the new coach there at IU Indy, he told us at Horizon League Media Day, we will play fast, we will shoot a lot of threes, and he didn't say this, but the defense might be in question. Entertaining brand last night as they score over 100 against Ohio State, but they lose.
Cameron Tinsley had 22 points for IU Indianapolis in that one. Ball State over Louisiana, 75-64. Notre Dame won at home against Long Island, 89-67. Charlotte at home beat Indiana State, 92-76. Grand Canyon over Purdue Fort Wayne, 90-71. Monday Night Football last night in the NFL. Arizona Cardinals, behind the great play of Jacoby Brissett, beat the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas 27-17. Brissett, 21 of 31, 261 yards, 2 touchdown passes, a touchdown run. He was hooking up early and often with Marvin Harrison, who had a touchdown reception and 96 yards. Everything going well for the Cardinals, nothing going well for the Cowboys. And then after the game, Jerry Jones promised a trade would be made today, and true to his word, before 8 a.m., there was a trade announced. Was there not, Kevin?
Yeah, Logan Wilson, Bengals linebacker who has lost his starting job as they've changed coordinators. He is off to Dallas for a 7th rounder. So I think that's the only thing we've seen so far here. Again, deadline coming up 4 o'clock today, and I think the Colts should make a move. More so with their defensive front. I can hear cornerback, but I actually think they have, assuming Mooney Ward is going to be back, going to have some reinforcements there.
Purdue losing running back Devin Mockabee for the rest of the season with an ankle. The 5th-year senior will be done at Purdue, but he leaves as the 4th leading rusher all time for the Boilermakers. Prior to the injury, he had played in 37 straight games. And to your point earlier, Kevin, you don't see a guy stay all 5 years these days when he's having success on a team that really isn't that good and keeps changing head coaches.
No, great story. Bummer that he won't be able to finish things out. We'll see if Purdue can cue up some Ross-Ade magic. 29-point underdog to Ohio State this weekend. And speaking of the Boilers, inside of Mackey tonight as the most anticipated season in probably Purdue history. Tips off. They've got Evansville. They are a 32.5-point favorite, 6:30 on Big Ten Network.
All right. Does the name Victor Conte mean anything to you, James Boyd?
Nope.
He was the man that was supplying all of the juice, allegedly, to one Barry Bonds. He was the guy at the center of the Balco investigation.
Okay.
That everything centered around and was said to be helping a lot of athletes at that point in time. There was a lot of legal issues, some jail time served. He passed away yesterday at the age of 75. You remember him, don't you, Kevin?
Definitely remember the name. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we head to break and hear from Rick Carlisle?
Shout out to the great Evan Sherrill and Cluster
Yes!
Truck.
I was going to bring that up in a minute, but yeah.
Dropped off a little bit of morning grub here. That is CT Fan. That's our promo code, $5 off, $25 more. CT Fan right there. And one of my favorite deals, the game day special, 2 pizzas, 2 pounds of chicken strips for $29.99. That is excellent. Game day specials, that's college football, that's Colts games. You don't want to miss that. It's an excellent, excellent deal for $29.99.
First time we've seen Evan in a while. It's good to see him.
Great human.
Yeah.
Chirp, chirp to his Cardinals.
All right. Anything else for you, James? Are we good to go?
Shout out to my boy Micah, who I play basketball with Wednesdays. He had his daughter Millie, and he sent me a photo yesterday, and he was saying his daughter's already locked into the Pacers fandom, and I was like, boy, she's getting in at a time where the real fandom will show if she's still around 10 years from now. So he showed me a picture, and he's got on, I believe, he's got on a Colts Daniel Jones jersey. The wife has on the Fever Indiana Caitlin Clark jersey, the Stranger Things edition, and then their daughter has on an Indiana jersey with Little Boomer and the stroller. So shout out to Micah.
All right. Coming up in a moment, Rick Carlisle, what did he have to say about the return of Miles Turner last night? The guys talked to him a little while ago. If you missed it, we'll play it for you next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Can I just say, Cluster Truck never misses. They never miss.
You are the most predictable human being of all time.
That's okay. Predictable is okay. I like predictable these days.
Shout out
Unless it's my team.
Truck.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, you're telling me you're not enjoying that burrito over there yet? What's going on?
Yeah, I will, certainly. But I just, you're
Kevin's already almost done with his.
Chicken Caesar wrap, excellent per usual. Jeff, you talk about that beef and broccoli. Like I talk about Tiger Woods and
when I was a little
family,
kid,
Notre Dame basketball. I get nervous when you start talking about that beef and broccoli.
When I was a little kid,
I have to leave the studio.
We did the summer. Everybody pile into the station wagon and drive across the country, and we did Yellowstone. And I remember people were feeding this bear along the side of a road, right? And people were throwing the dumbest stuff. They were throwing like cookies and stuff like that. Somebody threw a fish out. That bear grabbed the fish and backed its way, looking at everybody in the eye all the way up the hill until he could find a place where he could comfortably eat that, and no one was going to touch that fish but him. That's how I feel about this.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, these cookies.
Yeah.
I got to get the red spray from Lev.
That is Jeff every
the
time
whole
Cluster
room
Truck
smelling like
delivers.
Korean beef and broccoli.
Some house and some
Keep our hands above the table because I get a little nervous when the old beef and broccoli gets in there.
As you should. Quick reminder for you, it's getting to be holiday season. Go to the fans' Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook pages. Get a code for a discount on your ticket to Christmas Nights of Lights and give a portion of ticket sales to the Shepherd Community Center. We've got a lot of announcements coming up. We're going to be, as a group at Radio 1 here in Indianapolis, trying to help out gleaners and as many people who need to get some food going. You know, the SNAP program is kind of coming to a standstill. We were out a week and a half, 2 weeks ago at one of the United Way food distribution centers out on the east side of the city. And to see families there, and I'm talking a line 3 blocks long. Food shortages are a real thing here in Indianapolis, and especially now when the people who are getting some assistance aren't getting anything right now. I also saw something in the news yesterday that Walmart gets something like 25% of all of the food assistance money in the country, and people were hoping that maybe Walmart could put some pressure on the politicians to get back to work and get things figured out because there's so much money at stake there.
Shout out to Rick Carlisle and the Drive and Dish campaign. He's been partnering with Gleaners for food insecurities, not only around Marion County, but also throughout the state. You continue to see Rick wear that QR code. It says Drive and Dish, but if you were to obviously look at the QR code, you would get a link to that. Speaking of Rick Carlisle, he joined us earlier in the show. Mark will have that podcast up if he doesn't have it already. But
up already.
10:01
Look at you.
Is what we would encourage people.
We should never doubt Mark again. We should just say, you know what? It's already up.
Blasphemy.
He's not the Aaron Rodgers of producers over there. Come on.
I was curious what...
Don't ever put me in the same sentence as that man ever again.
I was curious what Rick would say about Miles Turner, if anything, at all. So this was Rick's comments earlier with us on if he was surprised by the crowd's reaction towards Miles last night.
He came over to the bench, to shake hands with people right before the tip. That was it. Yeah.
Were you surprised at all by the fan reaction pregame or within the game when Miles touched the ball?
I don't know. I guess not. And so, if you look at everything that has transpired over whatever the period of time is, a lot of things, I guess, have been said. I'm not on those social media channels in large part, but you hear things, and divorce is difficult. It just is. I will say that I always supported Miles, completely, and I always admired the man that he was when he was a member of the Indiana Pacers. I know he's from a great family and all that, and sometimes these things are difficult, but I harbor no ill feelings toward Miles as a person. It would have been good if some of the things said were not said, and I don't want to get into all that, but some of the stuff going after teammates unnecessarily didn't make any sense, with the kind of character that he's demonstrated here. So it was tough. It was tough. I was not expecting that extreme a reaction, but on the one hand. On the other hand, things happen.
Were you guys surprised by the extreme, to use that word from Rick Carlisle? Is that what you were expecting yesterday?
Absolutely. I predicted this, and I'm not standing here on some hill by myself. I think all of us kind of knew, if you were in this market, that was going to be the reaction. I think it might have been surprising for those who didn't understand the comments that were made. I haven't followed it as closely. I think the national perspective is a little bit different, but here in Indy, we all knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I know there was a smattering of applause while people were booing his video last night, and you and I estimated it between 70 and 75% of the people booing last night, but there were people that were giving it a nice hand. I honestly would have liked to have seen a nice, when they just announced him for the starting lineup, which they did in a very just quick go-through-it, matter-of-fact way. I would like to see a nice bit of applause there, and then once the game started, just boo him every time he touches the ball. But appreciate the decade that he gave here. To some extent.
I think while I agree with that, I also think Kevin was right earlier when he said people see those like 60-second clips on Twitter of the shots at Halliburton, and even it seemed like Carlisle might have seen that too, where he's like, I didn't think that was necessary. No one's watching the full 6-minute clip of like, oh, well, there's context here. No, they're showing the stuff that gets the clicks and everything like that. So people are seeing that. They're saying, well, he's saying he wants to go somewhere where he's, going to be celebrated and all that stuff. And so this thing stacking on top of other stuff, it's like, yeah, goodwill kind of goes out the window, especially when you could have gone to the Suns, but you went to the Bucks, who are obviously the Pacers' rival at the moment. So you kind of knew what you were signing up for. That check cleared, and that bank account's looking pretty nice, but
if you're going to get an extra $40 to $42 million and you have the chance to play alongside a generational talent who's already won an NBA championship, largely because of him, almost always because of him. Like, do you blame the guy? Really?
Well, I don't blame him at all. I don't think you also can't say I didn't see this coming when I knew what I was signing up for.
There you go.
I don't think that's the root of the fans' venom.
Yeah.
I think the root of it is some of these comments. And I think Miles will look back on it and realize he stubbed his toe a few too many times on these comments. And did I think he clarified them pretty well yesterday morning at shoot-around? Yeah, I do. We played the audio a little bit earlier. But at that point, it's too late. Fans are going to react how they want to react. And I think Miles wants to wear the villain hat and the be celebrated hat at the same time.
You can't do that.
You can't
You
wear
got to
both.
commit to the bit. All right. Mark, can you please give this
Can't
man...
wear a gray cowboy hat,
No, I'm
right?
serious. Can you give this man a rundown on how to be a heel? Because I'm like, there's so many missteps here. You're either in it and you want to be hated or you want to be loved. You can't pick and choose which sides. And honestly, once you signed up for this Milwaukee Bucks experience, you're dead to the former team. So I personally, you didn't boo enough. Okay,
I will also say,
you gotta boo the man.
I will also
relentlessly.
say one of the great privileges of being a fan is going to an arena or a stadium and really letting somebody have it or really cheering somebody. So I totally get the experience of, yes, you are the heel to most Pacers fans now.
Yeah.
And every you pay that price for that ticket, you support your team, you have every right to go and boo whoever you want to boo.
Right, and I've always said this is why I love sports. It's controlled hate. I don't get to just walk around and hate people in real life. That's not a good thing. That's not a good trait to have. But in sports, if you are the enemy, yes, I hate you. And so I do think as time goes by, we will look at the Miles tenure differently. But in the moment, man, you went with the opposition and you said some stuff you probably shouldn't have about our guy. That's the thing. I think if he says whatever he says about management, being celebrated, even some of those things, and you can kind of be smoothed over. But I can't even call it really a shot. It was interpreted as that. But like the saying, oh, Tyrese, he talks his trash and people, know he won't say the same thing on the street because he's protected. Like that dude just gave up his Achilles to try to get you a championship, man. Like that to me is like, you have to understand, and I've learned this. Oh, Lord, I have learned this. When you come to Indiana, there are certain figures you do not go against ever under any circumstance. I don't care what the context is. We don't want to hear it. Reggie Miller, Larry Bird, like Tyrese is in that category now. If you say anything about him that could be even an inkling of you're against this guy, you're going against our guy, you will get the full venom of the fan base.
Yeah, I think it started this summer when he said I wanted to go someplace that I was celebrated. Like, I remember he went on the NBA Summer League broadcast the day after his press conference, And I thought to myself, okay, here's a time for Miles to clear the air, clarify if he wants to those comments. And again, he waited till yesterday morning. I thought it was the first time in all the Miles different media sessions where he has clarified it and said, I got the rug pulled out from under me from the front office and ownership. He specifically singled out those two areas of the Pacers.
Right.
Not the fans, not his former teammates. And when you watch the teammate embrace yesterday, if Tyrese Halliburton was really, really pissed off, not all of those guys would have embraced Miles Turner to that degree. I think it is the front office and ownership. And to me, Miles could have used that moment this summer to say, all right, I shouldn't have said a place where I feel celebrated, a place where I feel valued. That's different because the value is numerically.
He mentioned that in his pregame comments yesterday.
$4 million is different than 3 for 66 with what the Pacers were offering. So he should have done that back in the summer. But instead, he let it go. He let it go. And every time he was asked about it, he just threw a little bit more gasoline on the fire. And to James's point, the Halliburton one was a little bit of a smoking gun. And fans don't need much to hate you. They don't need much. And when you start bad-mouthing them like that, interpreted the wrong way or not, they're going to feast upon it. And last night, the boo birds were loud.
I was able to find Rick Carlisle's actual comments of what he really thought of Miles Turner.
No disrespect to Rats. It was time to, get the out of there.
That may
I'm
not
gonna
be
lie.
true.
That being clipped together is peak Mark Dykman.
That's so good.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. You're.
Did you think he was going to go acknowledged again today, Mark, on the Miles Turner question?
On the down low, James?
Acknowledge the question.
Your position as chief petty officer may be in danger.
It might be, but no, I'm serious. Like, that's my biggest thing with anybody who toes that line. You just got to lean into it, man.
Even his tweet last night, 11:31 p.m., Miles Turner. 10 years of blood, sweat, sacrifice, and constantly taking the disdain on the chin. I guess growth isn't always applauded. Sometimes it's booed. But I'm still grateful, still rising. Hashtag fear the deer. Brother, you can't wear both hats.
And did he also post a deleted image of an IndyCar wrecked? Was that the other image I saw that got deleted?
The thing is,
you can't.
He did
play
post
both
that and he
sides.
deleted it, but I guess it was like a Formula One cars because we were like,
Even
duh,
still.
it's the wrong car. But that to me makes it even funnier. Like, you gotta lean in if you want to be the villain, man. Send me to acting school, okay? I could be the new Joker. You cannot be trying to play both sides of it and understand that. Look, man. When
you can't play a villain and pariah at the same time.
No, man, no. And we're never going to feel that way. And my thing is,
Miles is too smart to think that they weren't going to boo him.
Yeah, and I think he knew that, and I think it still hurt him. But at the same time, Miles, all you got to do, brother, is look at that bank account and say, you know what? For 100 M's, all y'all can boo me for 100 million years.
All right. That's the latest on Miles Turner. We'll get you everything you need to know for the rest of your day next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
No disrespect to Rats. It was time to, get the out of there.
Welcome into the program. We've got a busy day today for the National Football League, but will it be busy? Will it be busy, James Boyd, for the Indianapolis Colts on the trade deadline day?
How much do I want to work later today?
You're going to have to go either way, right?
Yeah, but it's always a little bit easier, I guess, if they don't make a move. But honestly, looking at this season, where you are 7-2 atop the AFC, I do think a move is warranted. Now, the question is, how big of a swing are you willing to take? The big fish out there is Trey Hendrickson. Now, granted, he's been dealing with, I believe, a hip injury. And on top of that, it sounds like the Bengals, at least the last report that we got from the Athletics' Diana Rossini, was that they wanted a first-round pick for him. I would not give up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. I'll be very clear on that. But, hey, a second, maybe I'm interested. You know, he's on an expiring deal. He's an older player. He is a bit injured. But, you know, is that somebody I'd be after? Bradley Chubb is another guy. Miami Dolphins defensive end. I believe he's got 3 years left on his deal, but no guaranteed money after this season. So could you make the money and things like that work for a guy who I believe has been like a 2-time Pro Bowler and could upgrade your pass rush? So I think I've come aboard the Kevin Bowen train of defensive end over cornerback if you're going to make a trade deadline move.
Do you think they think that? Like, do you think there's that big of a difference between, or any difference, I should say, between D end and corner? Like, to me, Jalen Jones' performance Sunday would open my eyes if I were them. Of like, okay.
Especially knowing that Ward should be back at some point this season.
I mean, you might only have one more game, Atlanta, no Mooney Ward on Sunday, without Jalen Jones, Mooney Ward, and Kenny Moore as a trio. Obviously, you want, you know, that group to stay healthy, but I don't know. I just think the urgency of pass rushers is higher. And I think Pittsburgh sent quite a message in that area to you.
What do you need to see from the Colts as a team coming off that loss to Pittsburgh against Atlanta? You just want a win of any kind, or would you like to see them revert back to their just dominant ways? Like, what's possible in this weird travel week? Because Atlanta looked pretty good last week.
I'll say this. The protection has to be better. That was alarming to me to see Daniel Jones under that much duress. I believe he was pressured a season high, maybe 18 times or something like that. So we're not used to him being under siege with this offensive line. So as long as that gets corrected, I'm not saying they're going to be perfect every game, but as long as they're around that level of play that we've seen through the first 8 games, I can live with whatever result they get out there in Berlin, which I would imagine will be a win if that's the case.
I think they will beat Atlanta, but the one thing that does worry me about the Falcons, they've got some dudes in all caps. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, some dudes. Jesse Bates. They had 6 sacks with Drake May last week. I know they've lost 3 in a row, and they're 3-6 on the year, and they're a little banged up on their O-line, but they do have a little bit more individual talent than I think some of these other bottom feeders the Colts have faced this season.
And Drake London coming off a huge game. I think he had 3 touchdowns, didn't he? Like over 150 yards, something like that?
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Highlight reels
abound.
All right,
stay tuned to the Fan all day long for the latest on whether the Colts will or will not make a move at the trade deadline. 4 p.m. Eastern is when that comes and goes. JMV will be on the air for that from 3 to 6. Jake from noon to 3. We'll see you tomorrow morning.